Sixers, and Flyers.
At 0 point would I ever consider not being a fan of the team.
97.3 ESPN, WENJ, WENJ HD, Millville, Atlantic City. A Town Square media station serving all of South Jersey.
We are live on a Thursday, Chickies and Pete's in Egg Harbor Township. What's going on, everybody? The Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN, the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app, and live video streaming on the X platform, YouTube, at Mike Gill Show. What's up, everybody? Hopefully you're enjoying your final Thursday before Thanksgiving. Pete G, my on-site producer. Josh Henning is back in the Ocean Casino Resort Studios. You out there. What are all these people doing here today? I mean, it is like a
busy.
full house.
This lunch hour is busy here,
I can understand, like, the week of Thanksgiving, some people get off of work. I mean, I guess, it's a good happy hour here, as always, at Chickies and Pete's. We had a little bit of a power outage. We were sitting in the dark for like 30 seconds. Did you get a little spooky?
I was going to bust out some candles or
I was
flashlight.
about to hit up, I went over.
Oh, that fridge over there?
Well, they've got the they've got Tonewood Fuego. They've got
That's a favorite.
They've got
Bonesaw
Swoosh.
Yeah.
They got some Wonder Box over there. I know they've got some Seed at the bar.
Now, they do have a bottle of water if you would like that as well.
Well, when it was dark, I didn't know if we were going to be able to connect. I said I might as well hang out with all the people here.
It's true.
How's everybody doing out there? We got a busy show for you today. DeSean Jackson, you remember him?
I do, DJax.
DeSean Jackson speaks on the DeSean Jackson-Clinton Portis collaboration of a podcast. He weighs in on what's going on with DeSean Jackson, with A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts. You're going to hear that audio coming up in just a few moments here because it's pretty interesting what he has to say about this. You're also going to hear what some NFL insiders think about the Eagles' situation with their offense. Sixers tonight, they're taking on the Bucks after losing last night. I do have some thoughts on that. I want to get into Casey Joyner has one thought every game. This is the last Thursday before Thanksgiving, which means our 99 Bottles party is less than a week away. You have all day today and tomorrow. Listen for that cue to call, and when you hear it, be caller 7, and you are in for this year's 99 Bottles party. By the way, Nuggets will respond to some criticism.
I heard about this.
He took 2 days off in a row. I said the Gen Zer cannot work back-to-back days. The sickness knocked him out 2 days in a row. Well, today he will respond at 4:30 during the Nuggets. And the text board, there's some speculation that people saw Nuggets hanging out with Joel Embiid and Paul George.
That would make sense.
Taking the day off. Everybody played hooky yesterday. No Paul George, no Joel Embiid. And speculation is they were hanging out with the Nuggets, and that's why they all took off yesterday. Nuggets will respond to these criticisms at 4:30 today here on the Sports Bash.
Now you had to have Josh's jerky in place of that?
Josh's jerky. We were going to go with Henning's hummus, and then he responded he is not a fan of hummus.
Well, the jerky, you got to take that in doses, right? You can't have that every day. To me, the Nuggets is good every day.
Yeah?
I could eat Nuggets all day, every day.
All day, every day.
Yeah.
What about Pete's Pizza?
I could eat pizza. I mean, who couldn't eat pizza all day, every day?
So we were talking yesterday about the hard-boiled egg. Do you have a problem with the hard-boiled egg?
No, I mean, in salads, I just had a salad. Could use a hard-boiled egg.
You like a hard-boiled egg?
In a salad,
do you think
absolutely.
the hard-boiled egg is something that you can smell?
Yes,
like,
absolutely.
Immediately?
Yeah, I think so.
No.
You don't think so?
Well, not like if I have them in like a sandwich bag, like a Ziploc bag, and I brought them to work with me already made.
I could see that.
No smell.
It's pretty potent smell, though, once you smell it.
I said the only smell is when it comes out. when
Right.
you pass gas.
Oh,
that is when you said.
That's the potency.
Right. That is when you're like, did you have a hard-boiled egg or something?
Pete, that's where I disagree with Gil, where I said the moment that container or baggie opens, I can smell the pungent egg a mile away.
That's kind of where I am, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't get that smell right away. The comparison was versus the microwave fish.
Oh, well, you can't be doing that. Especially in a workplace.
I know. I remember somebody put microwave fish in our microwave one time in the
Yeah, it was
kitchen.
like 2 years ago. And like,
yeah, there was like a letter that was like posted in the kitchen, like no more seafood.
never do this again.
Yeah, you cannot do that in a workplace.
Oh, so
Like
all
some
right.
salmon or something.
Well, the hard-boiled egg, I'm a fan of both dishes, but I don't find the hard-boiled egg to be a smell that is like over. I just don't. Once the egg is made, like once the hard-boiled egg is, not even when you're making it, does it? I don't know. Maybe I'm off on this one. But the microwave fish, I
That's
do
bad.
understand there is an odor to that one. All right, let's get down to business here a little bit. Josh, set up some of this DeSean Jackson stuff, because we're going to be playing a lot of audio on this whole situation because people are asking. Like, I've seen a lot of people are starting to take sides now.
It's starting to stink, right? Talk about
Well,
smells.
you're getting, like, I'm tired of hearing people taking shots at Jalen Hurts. All he's done is won. He's won the Super Bowl. He's the Super Bowl MVP. To which I understand that way of thinking. Like, the guy's all he's done is won. This team has just won. But that doesn't mean you are absolved of criticism, right? There are people that do things and get away with it for years and years and years and years until they don't. And at some point, like, just because you got away with doing something for so long doesn't mean you're not going to get caught. Jalen Hurts has been doing stuff for so long, it doesn't mean that other teams aren't going to start figuring him out a little bit, or that his play, and I say his play, I don't think it's fair to question whether his play is deteriorating. I don't think Hurts' play is deteriorating. But what might be happening is that other teams are catching on to what he has been successful doing for a long time, and they're starting to say, look, we now figured out you don't like to throw the ball over the middle of the field, so we're going to heavy up doing X, Y, and Z. And if you don't make the adjustment on that, maybe you're not going to be as successful as you used to be. So even though he has been highly successful, he has won a lot, that doesn't mean we can't investigate whether or not he has done something wrong here, right?
Is it winning the bottom line, though?
It is the bottom line.
In the NFL?
It's the bottom line. And that's why this is such a delicate, thing to tiptoe is you keep winning, you're winning. But A.J. Brown senses that maybe the winning is about to stop, and he's trying to get out ahead of it. So this is almost like, were you on Team YouTube TV or Team ESPN Disney? Right? Are you on Team A.J. Brown and what he's saying?
It's like a political debate.
I am trying to get out ahead of this, or are you on Team Hurts? Is all they do is win. I don't care how you win, which I understand. I don't care how you win. I don't care what it looks like, but I can certainly side with A.J. Brown here by saying I'm in that locker room, I'm in that offense, and I think we have problems, and I want to get out ahead of it before it derails our season. So I can see both sides of the coin here. I certainly can be swayed either way. So if you want to make an argument to me, anybody out there, and say, hey, look, this is why, but I don't think that it's a fait accompli that you can't question Jalen Hurts in this situation. I don't think he's absolved because he's had unbelievable success.
Well, how long have we known about Jalen Hurts and his flaws, his deficiencies? A few years now, right? I mean, this is not a new occurrence with his game. And they won the Super Bowl last year. It didn't derail them last year because we knew that AJ and Jalen had some battles last year, and they weren't seeing eye to eye last year. This is not a new thing.
Well, one of the differences in this scenario is the offensive line last year and the running game was a big factor as to why you had success. So that allowed him to have that to kind of lean on to bail him. I don't want to say bail him out because I don't know that that's the right wording. I don't think Jalen needed to be quote-unquote bailed out.
It allowed him not to be risky and get away with it.
It allowed him to have something that superseded what he was doing. They were running the ball better than they were passing the ball, but because they ran the ball so well, when they did have to pass the ball, it was a much more prosperous opportunity. Now, you're not running the ball very well, so now you're kind of having to be more prosperous in the pass game, and that's not happening. So let's hear what DeSean Jackson has to say about what's going on between A.J. Hurts. Is this a personality thing? Is there something off the field? Is this somebody's deteriorated? I'd love to hear what DJax has to say here as a guy who was a wide receiver and, somewhat had some diva tendencies to him.
Yeah, so big picture, just so everybody doesn't know. So apparently I learned last night, Mike, that DeSean Jackson and Clinton Portis host a podcast called the House of Action Podcast, because we all know every athlete has to have a podcast. Well, the one quote that ran around was specifically about Hurts and A.J. Brown, but we have to start the audio with the full line of dialogue, which started with DeSean Jackson criticizing A.J. Brown, even though DJax says he doesn't like to criticize people. Take a listen.
I don't like to criticize people, but, I'm a realist, and I got to speak the facts. I feel like he's brought a lot of attention upon himself. I think he's a hell of a talent. As a wide receiver, you should want the ball, but, sometimes as a wide receiver, we have the diva or, the selfish mentalities, right? When you're in the instance where you're doing these, you're out on social media or you're on Twitch, or you're saying all this, or you're posting things on your Twitter page or your Instagram, it brings more attention to you, right? And if you're going to bring the attention to you, that means you have to be on your game that much more. Your game got to be superior.
Well, so there's a little bit, I don't want to say a shot, but that's him saying, AJ, if you're going to come out and say something, then you better back it up, right? You better be ready. But the problem with that is AJ, the hard part for him to back it up is he needs the quarterback to get him the ball, which, by the way, they tried last week. They tried. So they did try to get the ball to AJ. Quite frankly, the result was not all that good.
No, it wasn't, and that's where DJax goes on to say, hey, A.J. Brown has brought more attention to himself, and now DJax feels like that attention is backfiring on A.J. Brown.
I feel like the attention he's allowed himself to bring to now, it's like it's a few passes that are thrown his way, one-on-one coverage, and he's giving up, and he's not running full speed. Like, all that stuff you probably could have got away with if you didn't bring all this attention to yourself. But now it's like we see it all, and now, there was one time that Jalen Hurts threw him a pass, and as he came off the sideline, his effort. And as you could tell, when somebody's checked out, and I'm not trying to say he's checked out, but you can tell when the interest ain't there, it ain't there.
Yeah, I mean, AJ is a guy that a lot of times his body language will tell the story, right? I mean, everybody's kind of insinuating that he didn't run for that ball.
Right.
That was thrown to him down the field.
He was reading a book on the sidelines. That tells you all you need to know.
You got that book autographed.
I did, by plenty of NFL people.
And can I also say for the 100th time that apparently A.J. Brown learned nothing from that book based on the way he's been acting.
You read that book, and you don't feel that he has used those words.
He has not. He has not taken anything in that book to heart.
So then that was just a publicity stunt. That was just a stunt.
Yes, and I want to know how much he got paid for it.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, still, but the point is, it is interesting that DJax says, hey, man, you brought us attention to yourself, and I can see you as a former wide receiver. You're out there. You're not giving full effort on these routes.
And again, this is a former player talking about this,
Right.
not just a media guy trying to stir
This isn't Mike
something
Gill
up.
saying it. This is all-time Eagles wide receiver DeSean Jackson saying it.
And listen, he said it himself in that first bite that, hey, you're a wide receiver. There's some diva tendencies.
Which is okay. That's okay.
Well, we all know that. That's not a secret. No one's like, oh, my God, there's a wide receiver who's a diva.
Yeah, you don't think Stephon Diggs is a diva or CeeDee Lamb is a diva? Those guys got benched the first series of the game the other night.
Throughout history, wide receivers have had diva tendencies. They want the ball. They think they can change the game. Like, we all know that. That's not new news.
But when you're going out there and not giving full effort on some of these routes, as DJax is pointing out, maybe, as DeSean said, people don't notice, right, Mike? Maybe they don't notice you as much not giving full effort if you don't bring attention to the situation.
Yeah, listen, if DeSean Jackson is insinuating you're not giving full effort, I think that's a pretty good sign.
The only thing that should prevent him from not running a full route is injury. Anything other than that, his feelings towards Jalen Hurts, twitch, whatever, you got to run the full route.
Now that brings us, guys, from DeSean Jackson, the quote that went viral last night. The quote that took over the internet started with DeSean Jackson turning his attention to saying,
this is the juicy stuff right here.
I know A.J. Brown personally.
Yeah, we winners. Yeah, we want to do this. But it's something else going on. And I got a great relationship with him. I respect him. I can't say it, but I know it's something else going on. That it's not all about football. It's not about X's and O's. I've been there.
So he's insinuating that it's something off the field. It's not about X's and O's, and I've been there before. So, I mean, that's some clarity that there is something. It's not football related. It's off the field, which happens. You know, Jason Kelsey was on in Philly radio this morning, and he told a story about how in, I think it was 2013 or maybe 2016.
Chip Kelly's
it was Chip
time,
Kelly's,
yeah.
like, last year.
2015.
As the coach of the team, 2015. And he mentioned that him and Lane Johnson didn't talk the entire offseason based on something that happened during the season. You know, apparently Lane Johnson had said that he thought Chip Kelly was working them too hard. And that Chip Kelly was working them too hard. And Kelsey was like, dude, you don't know. You've never played anywhere else. Like, what would make you think that? And that was basically ended their relationship. Like, that was something that forced them not to talk the rest of the offseason. Think about that. Like, they just didn't talk anymore after that whole situation.
And now it goes to the point where the other part of it, which is if you're having an off-field issue, right, Mike? There's an off-field relationship issue, how does that impact the workplace relationship?
The locker room, if there's a division.
Right, and how much of that is reflected in what the guys are dealing with? Being looking around like, oh boy, there's the two guys that can't get along.
Yeah.
Well, that's the T.O. McNabb stuff. There was a clear division of Team T.O. and Team Donovan. I don't know if it's to that level right now.
I don't think it is either, but as DJax goes on to explain, he says he can tell you that sometimes playing with a quarterback that you don't have a good personal relationship becomes a problem for a team.
And I've had relationships. Just hear me. Let me land real quick. I've had situationships. We ain't gonna call them relationships. I've had situationships with quarterbacks that I didn't necessarily like, and I'm gonna just be honest. And when it ain't there, it sticks out like a sore thumb. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah. So he's saying there's quarterbacks I didn't like, and it sticks out. That relationship is not what it sticks out like a sore thumb. Now, last week though, they threw the ball to AJ an inordinate amount of times.
Right.
So I get it. Like, there's times where these relationships. I'm not saying that DJax is wrong on this, but okay, I don't like you. I just threw the ball to you 12 times. Are you not catching the ball? Or you know what I mean?
You're not giving enough effort.
Yeah.
Well, right. Why did AJ give up on that route? Because he doesn't like Jalen Hurts?
Or as DJax suggested, he's not fully invested.
Right.
I don't know. That one throw, people are insinuating he gave up on. Even if I say, okay, yeah, he gave up on that.
But that's not the only one all year. Like, it's not like it was just that one game. There have been multiple games this year where A.J. Brown has done that DJax is pointing out. And when A.J. Brown's been asked about it, he typically says, oh, there was no chance I could have got that ball, or like, oh, there was a miscommunication. And it's like, now it's starting to be like, is it really a miscommunication? Is it really didn't have a chance to get that ball? Or
so do we think that – so let me ask this question then. Do we think A.J. Brown is sabotaging the offense?
Sabotaging, no. Not fully invested, possibly.
And where do the fans stand on this? If it's a Team AJ or Team Jalen, I think most of them are going to be Team Jalen because all he does is win.
I would say I agree that I think
the fan base.
But we were talking about this yesterday. It seems that Jalen is such a hard guy to connect with. I don't, for a guy to be the quarterback, the Super Bowl MVP of the Super Bowl champions, you would think that he would be universally beloved, 99.9% to 1 here in this conversation. I don't get that feeling because I do think there are people that say, I don't know that Jalen's, great. I think he's, many people believe that Jalen was great because of how great the guys were around him. Like that was the thing. Well, Jalen's only good because of AJ and Devontae and then Saquon. It's not just because that Jalen Hurts is this elite talent. It's because his offense around him is so good.
And is it salvageable to make another run at the Super Bowl? That's basically what it comes down to. Is can we get to February?
I said this on Monday. I would hope that, and this is how I'm starting to feel, that the front office, Howie Roseman, they know they got a problem. They're hoping that they can just hold on and reach the finish line with one more run with this team, and then they know they have to do something. Something is, the Derek Gunn thing is crazy because he said that Hurts knows he has the team over a barrel. That was his words, that Hurts knows he has the team over a barrel. You can't get rid of him.
And what do you make of Sal Pal's report over the last weekend where Lurie went up to AJ and he said, basically, you don't have to apologize. You don't have to apologize for anything.
I don't know. Because that's almost assuming that the owner is taking AJ's side in this
right,
situation.
if you want to really speculate on that.
Which goes to the reporting that people are tired of him a little bit and that he's got them over the barrel here. And they're like, I don't know if there's just so much. And I tweeted this out. They put the trailer out for the Hard Knocks NFC East that starts on December 2nd.
Saw that.
Forget the NFC East. Can you answer all these questions for us and just focus on the Eagles? Right. I don't need to know what's going on in Washington. They stink. I don't need to know what's going on with the Giants. They stink. I could care less what's going on with Dallas. They are mediocre.
Right. After this weekend, you could care less about what the Cowboys do.
I want the Hard Knocks to investigate. Forget Hard Knocks NFC East. How about Hard Knocks Eagles and find out what's going on in that locker room?
Hard Knocks Jalen Hurts.
You could just put on Bravo and watch one of those shows and probably get the same thing.
Hey, we're at Chickies and Pete's. You can stop out here. They got, and I was talking about this with the team here. I believe that this is the best beer menu in South Jersey. Any bar.
Wow. That's high
statement.
praise.
Do
that
you
is high
disagree
praise.
with me?
No, actually, I don't. No.
We've sat at that bar
Very
a
few
couple
places
weeks ago.
have
The
some of
last
the
time we
beers
were
they have
here, 1 month ago, listener Shaner came out here. He bought us a beer. We went to the bar and looked at the menu, and I said, this menu is unbelievable. It is probably, now, I'll say this, the best beer menu of any bar that I have been to. I have not been to every single bar in the area, but of the places I have been, the beer menu here is superior to all. That's what we'll start today's show with. When we come back, you'll hear more from DJax. You'll hear responses from Jalen Hurts. Plus, Dan Orlovsky chimes in on the situation. The Sports Bash live, 97.3 ESPN at Chickies and Pete's in Egg Harbor Township. All right, 2:30. We're live at Chickies and Pete's, Egg Harbor Township. Don't forget, Q to call, 99 bottles. That's going off in just a little bit here. You'll hear that and your chance to win tickets to see the Eagles play the Commanders at Lincoln Financial Field. Club box seats. Sixers lost last night against the Raptors.
I did watch that whole game.
I did too. I got a lot of thoughts on that game. I just don't have a lot of time because this Eagles stuff is definitely more pressing in my mind.
Well, they allowed 40 points in the third quarter. That's all you need to know.
They had a rough third quarter again.
Turned the ball over 20 sometimes.
They fought back, got into that game. It was a 4-point game at one point with like 3 minutes to go.
Yeah.
And then ended up losing the game by double digits. Don't like the offense without Joel Embiid. They need Joel Embiid back out there. That's what everybody's like, oh, they're better without Joel. They're not. They're just not better without Joel Embiid. And Joel Embiid doesn't have to be MVP Joel Embiid. He is a guy that the other team has to account for. You see what teams are doing now. They're doubling Maxey, and then Maxey is getting doubled, and he's bounce passing, turning the ball over. They're running pick-and-roll stuff with Drummond and Maxey. You can't run a pick-and-roll with Drummond. Nobody thinks that Drummond's going to do anything. So I don't like what they're running, but the offense was built for Maxey having Embiid with them. Embiid as the DHO, the pick-and-roll guy, and teams have to account for Embiid. He's not there. Yet another season where Embiid not being there, they've taken the offense out of Embiid's hand and turned it over to Maxey, and then the flip side is you need Embiid to do the things for Maxey to excel. And here we go. They play again tonight. You can listen to the game on 97.3 ESPN. It's an 8 o'clock tip time.
It was nice to see McCain actually hit a shot. He acted like he won the lottery.
He celebrated.
That was great.
All right, let's get back into some of this DeSean Jackson stuff. We got a lot of stuff. We got a lot of text boards as well. 609-403-0973. What else we got, Josh?
So the guys after the A.J. Brown stuff, we'll call it, turn their attention to Jalen Hurts. And DeSean Jackson kind of lays out for everybody that, hey, maybe there's a bigger reason why Jalen Hurts has had some issues this year with the Eagles offense. This is more DeSean Jackson, and then according to Clinton Portis' answer to his question on the House of Action podcast.
Jalen Hurts has had 10 different offensive coordinators over the past almost 10 years. You can call it 9 years. How much can that affect a guy that's behind the heads of everything that controls the ins and outs of an offense? Because I know that takes a toll when you have in and outs, different years of guys switching terminology, callings, plays. Like, in some sense, is it kind of at a disadvantage without giving them an excuse?
Well, this goes back to what I said. Just because he won the Super Bowl, just because he was the Super Bowl MVP, that doesn't mean things around him haven't changed. He doesn't stay the same, right? Everything around him changes, so too does he, right? He's not infallible because of the fact that, hey, everybody around me keeps changing in terms of the play caller and the play, I don't know what offense, like everyone's like, this is Nick's offense. The offense has stayed the same, but the play caller is different. The rhythm's different. The way the guy calls the plays is different.
Right.
And I think that Hurts is definitely, unfortunately, that could be something that is frustrating to him, maybe causing him to not be the same level of player that he was.
And that's what Clinton Portis goes on to say. His answer, for those who remember, Clinton Portis played in the NFL for the Denver Broncos and the Washington, then Redskins, now Commanders. Here's what Portis' answer to DJax's question.
It's definitely a disadvantage, but I have to tilt my hat off to Jalen Hurts for being a professional, being able to handle all of that. I went through the same thing in my career. After Denver, once I got to D.C., we switched OCs every year almost. So we switch OCs, switch offenses, terminologies, and that's hard. That's hard to adjust to because you're getting used to new wording, you're getting used to new styles.
See, that's the one thing. I don't think, we talked to Britton Covey about this a couple of years ago, and he said that the terminology and everything was the same. Even though they went from Steichen to Brian Johnson, that the terminology and the play calls didn't change. And
right.
I think that's one of the reasons why they have stuck with the lineage of guys that they have stuck with, meaning that they went from Steichen to Brian Johnson for that reason.
But remember, last year they had to change. Remember Hurts had the infamous comment, 90% of the terminology has changed with Kellen Moore coming in. So is there maybe a change from Brian Johnson to Kellen Moore to Kevin Patullo?
Right. Did they go back? I don't know. We don't know I don't know what they call the plays or how they're I don't know any of that stuff in terms of the play calls are the same. But you just heard DeSean Jackson talk about, DeSean Jackson played for Philadelphia, Washington,
Tampa,
Oakland, Baltimore,
the
Raiders,
Rams,
back to Philly. I mean, he played in a lot of different offenses, and he's saying, look, it's definitely something. You hear Clinton Portis, like, hey, I went from Washington to Denver, and it was definitely something. He's like, we had a different offensive coordinator in Denver every single year. Those are two guys who were pretty good players, by the way. Clinton Portis is a really good running back.
Yeah.
DeSean Jackson, I would say, he's like a Pro Bowl borderline.
He was a Pro Bowl guy. Portis was an All-Pro running back one year.
Right. Those guys were both pretty good players. So, and they're saying, like the coordinator thing. That's why I think that Jalen is not absolved from potentially being a part of the problems here.
Well, I mean, with that said, it happens all around the NFL. Every year, coordinators move on, they get fired, and the quarterback remains the same. Josh Allen has been through it. Baker Mayfield's been through it.
But you saw how Josh Allen's been positively and negatively impacted. He lost Brian Dable. He regressed. They fired Ken Dorsey. They gave Joe Brady the job. Then he wins MVP. So even a guy like Josh Allen, we saw Lamar Jackson in Baltimore. Part of it was where they hired Todd Monken because at the end of the Greg Roman era, things got stale.
Listen, all the good players generally have to go through this because their coaches are the ones that get plucked.
It's funny you said that because Clinton Portis brings up that Jalen Hurts deserved credit for all these guys getting promotions.
For Jalen Hurts to be the ultimate professional, he never complains. He never says anything about it. He just goes out and deliver opportunities for those OCs to become head coaches because a lot of those guys that you named went from OC to head coach somewhere. So he's giving those guys enough on the field to help them move on and elevate themselves to the next level. So I think you have to commend him for that.
Sure. I mean, I don't have a bad thing to say about Jalen in terms of his past, his history, what he's done for this team. I've always been a kind of a Hurts supporter. You go back to 2021 when they drafted him. At that time, if you might remember, I was hosting the show with Broads, and I remember him coming in, and he was flipping off the handle that they drafted a quarterback.
I remember this.
And I didn't have much of a problem with it at all. Did I love it? No, but I certainly remember my argument on that side was the Eagles value the backup quarterback more than they do the starting safety.
Right?
They won a Super Bowl in large part because their backup quarterback was not a drop-off from their starter. So if the Eagles felt that their starting quarterback at that time, Carson Wentz, who was injury-prone, or that there was something going on in the locker room, they got out ahead of it and got Jalen Hurts. I didn't have a problem with that. Then when they traded Wentz and made Hurts the starter his first year, he was mediocre. But I remember that offseason, and I was saying I saw enough from him to give him another opportunity as the starter to see if he can kind of take that next step. There was a lot of people that wanted Deshaun Watson that year, that wanted Russell Wilson, draft somebody in that draft class. I said, I'll stay with Jalen Hurts. And let me tell you, my social media mentions were not the kindest things in the world. Over the years, I can certainly say I have been a Hurts supporter, but that doesn't mean as a guy who has supported Hurts and liked Hurts, I can also say that I can understand that he has some deficiencies. You know, we live in a world where if you support somebody, that person seemingly is infallible, right? If you support somebody, they're right 100% of the time. They can just never make a mistake. They're never wrong, right? You almost have to dig in and say, this is the person I support, and therefore they can never be wrong. No, you can
There's
be
a lot of
wrong.
that nowadays.
You can be wrong. That just because I like Jalen Hurts and support Jalen Hurts, I can also say I think that he has some deficiencies in his game that might be a reason why this offense is struggling.
But again, he just wins all the time. That's the weird part about this entire situation is the guy just wins. He's been to 2 Super Bowls the last 3 years, Super Bowl MVP. That's really the bottom line.
The wins, though, like last week, did they win because they had Jalen Hurts?
No, but if they had Mac Jones' reclamation project, would they win that game?
Don't know, but you could,
you know what I mean?
You could ask this question. That's a fair question to ask. They don't turn the ball over. The stat is what? Nick Sirianni's 40-2 when they don't turn the ball over.
When they win the turnover battle.
Yeah.
Would they turn the ball over with Mac Jones? I don't know. Would they just run some safe offense? Is Mac Jones a better thrower of the ball? Maybe their pass game is better, but maybe they are really, really, really conservative in that pass game.
Well, it's like
but the 22 times they pass, maybe they are a little bit worse. So I don't know. I mean, Mac Jones has won some games this year in San Francisco, team that is a little bit more noted for having an offensive-minded coach that can develop a quarterback better than where he was in Indianapolis, New England.
Well, that's what I was going to point to, which is, there's something to say the fact that whether it's Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay, Kevin O'Connell, these coaches, Shane Steichen right now with Daniel Jones in Indianapolis, these coaches take quarterbacks and make them better. And realistically, Jalen Hurts really only had 2 coaches his entire football life who have elevated him out of the 10.
Right. Is Jalen Hurts a better quarterback now than he was 4 years ago?
Well, 2022, when he was the runner-up for MVP,
yeah,
he looked like one quarterback, and now he looks different, doesn't he not?
Yeah, no, I mean, in 2022, he was on the MVP ledger because of his running abilities. I mean, he is not the same runner that he was back then. But I do think he has evolved as a passer. I think his deep ball is better. I think he's certainly a better thrower of the football than he was. His big flaw has always been his unwillingness to kind of take chances over the middle of the field where he can turn the ball over, right? Where a safety can step in front or a linebacker can pop back into coverage and he doesn't see that guy. And for whatever reason, they either coached it out of him or he is spooked to throw the ball over the middle of the field where you're going to end up being in harm's way. Everything he throws is on the outsides, and he has optimal confidence that where he throws the ball on the outside, it's only going to be to where his guy can catch it and not the other guy. And that's generally why they just don't throw interceptions and they don't turn the ball over all that much, because he is very, very calculated in where he decides to go.
And he does not run the ball, really.
And he
won't fumble, and he won't take hits like that.
And the one time he fumbled this year, he was running and he fumbled it, right?
Yeah.
But that would then frustrate the receivers. There's a lot of people who are saying, look how elementary their passing routes are. Somebody sent me this thing about how many hitch routes they run compared to everybody else in the league. And they have like 3 guys that run more hitch routes than anybody else in the entire league. And they're all 3 in Philadelphia because that's the route that Hurts feels comfortable throwing.
Right. Of course, Patullo and Sirianni know that these are basic routes that a high school player could run them.
Right, but they're also sitting down with Jalen and be like, hey, show us the routes that you like throwing to. Well, I like this one here. I like this one here. I don't like that one. So now the receivers are like, I'm stuck running these routes because this is what he's picking.
But also it's about the timing, because there's a lot of times they run those routes that he, quote-unquote, likes or is good at, and the receivers are not hitting their marks when his back foot is hitting his drop. So is that Jalen not executing properly? Is that the receivers not being on the same page with Jalen, not getting to the point? I don't know.
And we talked about this yesterday.
That's what Gil said earlier, timing and rhythm.
Well, and that's not Jalen's strength. He is not a good thrower with anticipation.
He's never been.
He doesn't throw guys open. He wants to hit you in stride. He doesn't want to throw you open. And that's a big it's a key attribute for a quarterback, is to say, I'm going to throw the ball to a spot whether you're there or not because I believe you're going to be there. And he doesn't have a great feel for that. All right, Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN. We'll try to sneak in some text messages on the other side. I see the text board is loaded up for us, 609-403-0973, 609-403-0973. Hit up the text board. We'll read and react coming up next. We got the 3 o'clock hour as well. Jeff Nadu's favorite plays are coming up at 3:30. Football at 4. Andrew DeCecco today will check in on the matchup between the Eagles and the Cowboys. That's all coming up right here on the Sports Bash live on 97.3 ESPN.
You're listening to the Sports Bash with Mike Gill
Never thought this radio stunt would catch on so big.
on 97.3 ESPN.
All right, welcome back. 2:50, 10 to the top of the hour. We got a lot of text messages. Let's read and react to as many as we can here. 609-403-0973. Your text messages, what do we got?
Yeah, I got some texts coming in. We got James from Delaware says, "Will you consider DeSean Jackson a true number one, or was he just a deep threat when he played?"
No, not a true number one. More of a game breaker, maybe a big play guy, but not a number 1A. He's not like A.J. Brown. I would say
No.
he's not as good as A.J. Brown, not as good as Devontae. I mean, he was not a – he was more of a big home run threat.
Correct. But he still was a diva.
Well, because he was a big play guy.
Right.
And he was a first-round pick, so he had some pedigree or some, you know. But he
Absolutely.
wasn't like a late-round guy that, like, all of a sudden was like, wow, this guy's way better than – no, he was a first-round pick, you know.
BC and Bowers Beach says, "We got to point out that DeSean Jackson did an amazing job as head coach of Delaware State. They can win the MEAC this Saturday for the first time since 2007. Go Hornets!" By the way, Portis is on the running back coach, and that's why they have the podcast together. This is BC and Bowers
That's
Beach.
all coming together now. It all makes sense.
That's an unbelievable story. Would anybody ever have thought that DeSean Jackson would be a head football coach?
Or a winning head football coach.
Just a coach. I don't care if he's winning, just a coach. The way, like, you know, he was perceived, and now he's the guy who's, you know, you think of a coach as a guy who's disciplinarian and like, you know, and he's now the guy who's the head coach. It's an awesome story.
A couple more texts to get to, squeeze in here. By the way, Jack from Cape May Courthouse says he thinks there's a couple places in Cape May that have better beer menus than Chickies and Pete's. I think you would disagree with Mike.
I said I haven't been to every place. No place I've been to has as good a selection than this Chickies and Pete's. I can't even speak for the Atlantic City one. I don't know if their beer menu's the same or not.
Phil in Brigantine says, "Mike, we've discussed this before, but AJ just can't get open anymore. He is one of the worst in the league of separation now." He says, "Getting him the 50-50 ball, stop talking and start balling." Question for you and the gang, is AJ the guy anymore? To me, he doesn't seem like it, says Phil in Brigantine.
Yeah, well, the metrics of him getting open are not great. I think he's like 135 in the league in terms of getting open or whatever metric you want to use, where he's number 135 in the league. I think AJ, he's a scary one because we see this with wide receivers. There's a lot of examples of guys who were great, they were great, they were great, they were great, they were great, and then they were not. You know, everybody mentions Julio Jones. He went from all-pro, one of the greatest receivers we ever watched, and then one year he just wasn't anymore, and it just hits quickly. And there's a lot of those guys, like DeAndre Hopkins. Like, DeAndre Hopkins was a stud for every year, and then he just wasn't. And that was it. Like, he was done. And it seems like we're just always waiting for these wide receivers. They're like, he had one bad year. Like DK Metcalf. He was good. I mean, what's he done this year?
Yeah, he hasn't gotten the ball a lot at all from Rodgers.
Yeah, and there is a fair possibility to say that A.J. Brown is just not getting open as consistently. Now, that doesn't mean he can't still have a role and be a big physical pass catcher in the red zone, and I think they don't use him well enough. I think they should use him more on little inside slants, let him use his big body and catch the ball, and then try to get people to tackle him, you know, stuff like that. I don't think they use him the way that they should, but, you know, we'll see. All right, more text messages coming up next hour. Also, you'll hear what Dan Orlovsky had to say about who he thinks might be the culprit on this whole Eagles offensive situation as the Sports Bash rolls on. By the way, some breaking news with the Sixers. Joel Embiid is out tonight. He will not play in the game, so Joel is out. But Paul George is in tonight, so George is in.
Good news, bad news.
And George is in and Embiid is out. That is the story tonight for the Sixers and the Bucks. You can hear that game on 97.3
And I think, real quick, I think Giannis is out for Milwaukee.
Yeah, Giannis is out for a little while.
So there you go.
And over on our sister station, Rock 104.1, will be Thursday Night Football. So if you're looking for the football game tonight, 8 o'clock over on Rock 104.1. And if you're looking for the Sixers game tonight, 8 o'clock on 97.3 ESPN. But no Joel Embiid. He is out. Paul George is in. All right, coming up, more Sports Bash in the 3 o'clock hour. We'll read more of your text messages and react. Plus, you'll hear from Dan Orlovsky. It's all right here on the Sports Bash. But first, how about this? Caller 7, that's your cue to call, 609-573-3776, 609-573-3776. Caller number 7, you are in for this year's 99 Bottles Party at Maynard's at Margate on Wednesday. We will be live at Maynard's. 99 pairs of tickets, 99 qualifiers, 99 winners. Caller 7, you're one of them at 609-573-3776. You must be present to win. And remember, you must be there in the order that you get there. That's when you will pick. If you are the first entry, you will pick first. If you are the 10th entrant, you will pick 10th. We've got Eagles, Club Box tickets, Sixers tickets, Flyers tickets, concert tickets, comedy shows, and so much more. Caller 7. We'll see you there. Good luck. All right, hour 2, Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN. We're live at Chickies and Pete's, Egg Harbor Township. Go where the players go. They got the A.J. Brown Sweet Heat Hot Wings here. I have to try those one of those. I actually had them last year when we were here. Did have them last year. I like them, now that I remember. Got the Garage 62 burger and a beer, Jason Kelsey style. What else we got going on? Sixers tonight, Embiid is out. George will play. Good news is McCain will play.
Yeah, it was good to see McCain at least just hit a shot, get in some sort of rhythm.
And the fact that he's playing back-to-back.
That's true, too.
And he played last night, and now he's playing on the back-to-back. But, all right, we got text messages. We've got some more audio we want to react to here. 609-403-0973. 609-403-0973. Got somebody listening on the mobile app who texted in, said, for this offense to work, it all starts with the run game. The offensive line has been banged up all year. It's causing the offensive deficiencies. That's Rich from Brigantine. Yeah, Rich, I definitely agree with that. I think the number one thing for me is the offensive line because they can't run the ball the way they ran the ball. The way they ran the ball last year allowed everything to open up, and you only had to throw the ball 20 times a game, and 15 of those 20, resulted in positive results most of the time. I don't see that offensive line problem getting fixed either. That's one problem, right? If you're talking about the big picture, okay, they beat the Lions. They beat the Packers. They beat the Chiefs. That Chiefs team doesn't look all that good. They're pretty average. But they beat the Chiefs. They beat the Rams. Now, how many people think if they played the Rams this week, how would you be feeling about that game?
At the Link?
At the Link. No, on the road. You're at Dallas this week. Instead of being at Dallas, you're at SoFi.
I'd be nervous.
I would probably chalk that up as a loss. I'd probably say they'd lose that game.
Now, the good part is right now you have home field over them. The flip side of that is you played them here. They probably should have won that game.
Tight game.
On that day, who was the better team?
L.A.
Josh?
See, I hate this question because what we're doing is we're isolating one part of the game and we're focusing on it because the Eagles' special teams won the game. So does that make the Eagles less of a good team because the part of the team that nobody talks about won them the game?
Okay, that's a fair retort, but I would fire back with this. The part of the game, the team that won them the game, is an outlier of things to happen. It's not something you can count. I can count on maybe running the ball very well every week.
Sure.
Or I can count on my defense being pretty consistently the same every single week. I can't count on a blocked field goal, not once, but twice in the same game. If you think I'm going into a game and thinking, well, my special teams always blocks 2 field goals, I'm sorry.
I totally understand that. I totally get that.
So, yes, they won a game in a very, very non-conventional way that I don't think they can duplicate. I don't think they can say our game plan going in is that we know we can block a field goal against this team, and therefore we can beat them again.
Sure. I would just say also that for me, I think the biggest difference between who the Eagles were in September and who they are now is the defense. I think Jalen Phillips, his addition has been such a massive difference for this team. It definitely gives you a different vibe. Now, if you were asking me on November 20th if the Eagles were playing in L.A. tonight to play the game, I'm with you, Pete. I think that the Rams win the game because it's in L.A.
And L.A. and Philly, they play tight games. For whatever reason, they just match up very well with each other. And I feel like it's always a tight, highly contested, intense game that you would need a blocked field goal to maybe win.
Can't count on a blocked field goal game. Hey, if they get it, great. But I can't go into the game. If I'm Michael Clay, the Eagles special teams coach, I certainly don't go to Nick Sirianni.
Why doesn't Michael Clay ever get head coaching interviews?
But the point is that it would take 1 or 2 plays to be the difference of the game.
Well, I'll tell you why, Josh. For years, the Eagles special teams has been much maligned. I mean, this year they happened to block a couple field goals, so we're like, hey, look, the special teams. But over the years, their special teams has been a disaster. I mean, people had wondered why he hadn't been fired, let alone get a – I mean, you don't see special teams guys get head coaching opportunities all that much. In fact, John Harbaugh, when he got the job as the Ravens head coach, is because he had asked the Eagles to get out of the special teams.
Right, he became a defensive backs
coach. He went
coach.
to the defensive backs coach because he felt being a special teams coach wouldn't allow him to get job opportunities. So.
By the way, I will bring up 1 point before we get some more texts at 609-403-0973. Sean McVay, 0-4 against Nick Sirianni.
Hey, you can either keep beating the guy or at one point he finally gets you. You know, it's the whole thing. It's like, hey, trends are trends until the trend ends. I mean, I remember Tampa Bay being 0-32 in cold weather, and then they came here and won.
True.
And we had this discussion last year about Philly and Detroit just being on a collision course for the NFC title game. This year, is it now Philly and L.A. being on their collision course?
Well, right now it is. I mean, they're the top two teams. They're both 8-2.
Right.
And I don't think that, like, McVay's 0-4. I think every single time he's had the lesser team. I don't think the Eagles have ever won and upset them.
Yeah, I think Philly's been favored in every game they've played.
I think so, you're correct, but I had to look at those again. But I know at least two of them off the top of my head. I know the Eagles were definitely the favorite.
Well, they played them twice last year and beat them both times. They were the favorite both of those games.
That's what I'm talking about, yeah. But the two before that, I can't remember exactly what the line was.
I don't think the Rams have ever been the better team. In fact, the Rams are quite an amazing story when you think about it. The fact that they won a Super Bowl a couple of years ago, and they made all those trades and traded away all those first-round picks. And people were like, you know, this team just traded their whole future away, and here they are. They have built back pretty quickly as one of the best teams, in the NFL. Maybe the best team in the NFL. If you think that they are better than Philadelphia, then essentially you're saying they're the best team in the league. Now, I know, Josh, yesterday in your Fine Five, you went with New England as your best team.
I did.
Wow.
I like that. I like
high praise to New England.
I just like the way they're smashing people. Like they're winning NFL games like college teams win games to get bowl rankings. You know, like they're going out there and saying, we're not going to beat you. We're going to just punch you in the face so you submit.
All right, what do we got?
I want to cut a couple texts in here. Mike from Dover has an interesting story. He says, hey, guys, I actually saw DeSean Jackson at the barbershop a couple weeks ago. I never saw him become a head coach, but after talking to him now, I can see it. He had a lot of passion for his team. It was a great conversation that changed a lot of my perception of him. He says, also, Portis is a way bigger human being than I thought when I met him. That's from Mike in Dover.
I met Portis at the Mike and Mike roast, I think it was.
That was an AC, right?
Yeah, that was at Harris, I think. He is a big dude. Yeah, DeSean Jackson, I would never have in a million years when he played here said, oh, you know what, that guy looks like he's going to be, or sounds like he's going to be a head coach. Like, he just, was a kind of a, I don't know, he just seemed like a guy that was.
He got a bad reputation because of the whole Chip Kelly situation, and it kind of like, always put this dark cloud over him.
Well, that whole thing, yeah, the whole Chip Kelly thing where he got released, that he was, involved with gangs or something?
Supposedly he was, but he wasn't. And then it came out years later that Chip Kelly basically, was fabricating stuff, and it was a mess. But
yeah, I mean, and he just, he always was kind of I don't want to say a diva. I mean, he was a little bit of a diva-ish player. You don't generally envision. Now, Deion Sanders is a head coach. You would think he was kind of like a diva-ish, even though he wasn't
never
a wide
thought
receiver.
I would see Deion as a head coach either.
Right, exactly. So,
Luke at AC says, guys, it seems like AJ either has a nagging injury or something is not letting him go full throttle on a lot of these routes. He is not getting in full effort. I'm just not sure. Is it an injury or something else?
He had that, what was it, a groin or a hamstring that kept him out of the Giant game.
Yep.
And was there one other game that he missed?
So
last year he
missed multiple games with a hamstring.
Yeah.
Well, within the possibilities, But how old's AJ now? 29?
AJ is 28.
28 years old, which is a little earlier than
guys usually break down.
Yeah, those guys usually fall off the cliff. I mean,
you mentioned DeAndre Hopkins. That was 31, I think it was, when he was his first down year.
Well, and just going back to AJ's first year, his first game with Jalen Hurts, with the Eagles in 2022 against the Lions, that was a significant impact. You thought, wow, these guys could be together for years to come. You just remember the type of impact he had immediately.
Think about
that year.
He was unbelievable. I mean, he changed this whole team when they got him from Jalen Hurts basically turning into an MVP caliber player because, at first he just had Devontae Smith when he was a rookie.
Right.
And they just didn't have anything in the pass game. And then they added him, and that just unlocked this whole thing for a little while.
And they gave him a huge deal. Then they gave him another huge deal. So they've really committed to A.J. Brown, no question.
So DeAndre Hopkins is interesting because in Houston, for all those years, he was the man. I mean, 1,200 yards, 1,500 yards, 1,300 yards, 1,500 yards, 1,100 yards, 1,400 yards, 11 touchdowns, 6 touchdowns, 13 touchdowns, 11 touchdowns, 7 touchdowns, 6 touchdowns, 8 touchdowns. And then he got to 30 years old and really 29. At 29 years old, he was in Arizona, and he has not been good since. I mean, 29 in Arizona, 500 yards. Now, he missed 6 games, but the injury started to get him. 30 years old, 700 yards, 9 games. He played in Tennessee. Then he went to Tennessee. He had 1,000 yards there, but, he wasn't like a game-breaking receiver. He's one of the examples. I think DeAndre Hopkins. Julio Jones is another one.
Julio Jones basically was 31 when he dropped off. DeAndre was 32.
Julio was like the best receiver you ever saw.
Yep.
Up until he was 30 years old. And at 30, he had 1,200 yards, 1,500, 1,800, 1,400, 1,400, 1,600, 1,300. And then the next year, he got hurt, and then he had 700, 400, 200, and then he was in Philly, and he had 74 yards at 34 years old, and he was done.
That's like Odell Beckham Jr. That's another guy who kind of just fell off the face.
Odell was
a serious injury.
Yeah, he had a lot of injuries. Like the thing with Hopkins and Jones, they didn't have like catastrophic injuries. It was just like one day they just got on the field and their bodies just couldn't do it anymore.
They just didn't have the speed and explosion and the break and all that. Like it all just kind of, and I'm wondering if AJ is starting to go down the road of what, and I feel like there's a lot of guys. Like I'm just thinking of those two guys.
Well, I think of Anquan Bolden's another one. Bolden was like a game record for a period, and then one day he just didn't have it.
Certainly plausible that AJ is on, because he's one of those guys. They're all these big body,
physical.
Yeah, like they're all big, like hulking, like
freakish
stud
athletes.
number 1 wide receiver.
Yeah.
DK Metcalf's another one.
Deebo Samuel.
Deebo's a little bit more of a...
Debo's more of like a gadget player almost. Like he's a guy who plays inside, outside.
But he has that big physical body that just kind of breaks it down on him. But we're talking about number 1 where they're physical wide receivers, and that's why they're number 1.
The only guy
they're
that...
fast and they're strong and they're explosive.
The only guy I could think of that didn't break down was T.O. He's like the only guy that like, as his career, like remember Des Bryant, he broke down.
Des is another one of those guys that were just amazing, and then he just wasn't.
Now, Devontae Adams, we're going to see him coming down the line probably. He's 29. He's kind of having a resurgence.
Yep.
Yeah, and he's an interesting name, too, because he kind of, when he went to the Raiders, it felt like he kind of was like, and then the Jets, it felt like he was kind of.
But this year he's been revitalized. But again, it goes back to is Sean McVay just calling plays better for him than the other guys were?
Yeah, but I would say he's got 10 touchdowns this year, but 570 yards. I mean, he's not having like when he was in his big years, 1,300 yards, 1,300 yards, 1,500 yards, 1,500 yards, 1,200 yards. I mean, I don't know that he's like when he was in those middle Green Bay years, he was, and then the last couple of years, I mean, Vegas, he stunk.
Now he's really good in the red zone, but in between
now he's kind of
the 20s,
like what A.J. Brown is, but like
older.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think it's plausible to say that A.J. yes has lost a step. I don't know that it's
where
lost.
he can catch the ball and just get yak and just mow people down.
That's the thing, though. I think he's big and physical enough that if you can get him the ball in some space, he should still be able to, like, break tackles because he's still a big physical guy. I just don't think they do a good enough job at moving him around, getting him the ball in some short yardage. He doesn't have to go down the field and catch everything. I feel like you can almost – the problem is they don't throw the ball over the middle of the field. Like, I think he would be a good guy. You mentioned Anquan Bolden.
Yep.
I feel like he could be like an Anquan Bolden where he's doing his work between the hash marks there.
Yep, and that's how Anquan helped the Baltimore Ravens win a championship years ago.
Bolden was one of the best there was in terms of just catching the ball at the sticks, getting a first down, and breaking a tackle on third down. And you had third down and 5, he would get you 7. You had third down and 7, he would get you 9. Like, it wasn't big plays for Bolden. It was just he knew he was so crafty for a guy that big.
I will say one thing before we move on. All the receivers we've mentioned, aside from Des Bryant, what do they all have in common aside from big bodies and breaking down at the end? They all pretty much changed teams at the end of their career.
Well, they bounced all over. And by the way, Anquan Bolden, like if you look back at his big numbers, his best year, we had 1,400 yards one year. But other than that, he was always in that 900, 800, low 1,000 because he wasn't a big play guy. He just caught the ball.
Yeah.
He just caught
He just
the
ran
ball.
to the first down marker and waited for the ball to come to him.
And he also had Larry Fitzgerald.
Well, not in Baltimore.
By the way, Larry Fitzgerald's another
talking
guy.
about Baltimore.
Who
I'm talking about
was,
Baltimore, Anquan, yeah.
Larry Fitzgerald was another guy who was great. He was great. He was great. He was great. He was great. And then he just wasn't.
The only difference with Larry is that what Larry did was they moved him to the slot at the end of his career, so it kind of brought down the attention on his lack of explosion.
You know what, though? I could see AJ being that kind of like Anquan Bolden, Larry Fitzgerald, the big physical slot guy that it's just a pain in the ass to bring down if you catch him. But the Eagles don't use him in that way.
No, not at all. They don't use him at all. Guys, I wanted to squeeze in a little bit of this audio from Get Up this morning. They had a huge, very, very long conversation. We won't be able to get to all of it, but I wanted to start with the one part where Dan Orlovsky kind of went viral this morning when he brought up this point. I want to get your guys' reaction, Mike and Pete, over the Chickies and Pete's in Egg Harbor Township. Because Dan Orlovsky has this take of the Jalen Hurts criticism. Let me know what you think about this perspective.
What's going on with Hurts is so disingenuous and disrespectful to Jalen Hurts. And I'm not the biggest Jalen Hurts fan. All this dude does is literally everything that everybody begs every other quarterback to do or knocks them for not doing. This dude is 51-14 since 2022. He's been to 2 Super Bowls. He's won 1. He's been the MVP essentially in both. All he does is win. All he does is be obsessed with football and winning and doing what's best for the team. And we're just finding ways to knock him or take shots at him.
He's not wrong, but I go back to just because you have a resume shouldn't mean that you're bulletproof. Right? I mean, you get judged every single day, every single season. Okay, you had this accomplishment, that accomplishment, and that accomplishment. But we're talking about now. Yes, everybody wants their quarterback to do everything that he's done. Win Super Bowls, be the Super Bowl MVP. But that doesn't mean, you don't just walk into another season and just win all those accolades again.
Right,
So,
is that handed you on a silver platter?
Yeah, I hate that argument. It's like, well, this is all this guy's ever done, and it's what everybody wants. Yeah, but I'm talking about this year now. I'm not talking about last year then. I'm talking about now, this year. And I think it is okay to say, look, this guy's been unbelievable. However, this team right now is having some problems with their offense, and I think it's okay to inquire whether or not he is part of the reason why this offense is struggling. Now, if you surmise that he is not part of the reason, that he is playing up to his standards and everybody else is struggling, that's fair if that's what your perception is. I don't know that that perception would be accurate.
Well,
I think Jalen does have a role in why this offense is struggling.
And why is he not putting up flashy numbers? Is it because he doesn't need to, and he never really has to, because they win all the time?
Yeah, he's never really had to put up flashy numbers. Now, he has shown that he can do it when necessary at Super Bowl.
In individual games.
Yeah, but it's not consistently. He doesn't have to consistently put up those numbers. And that's why he is, every offseason when the list season comes out and somebody puts Jalen Hurts out of the top 10 and where Jalen Hurts won the Super Bowl, how is he not in the top 10? They're talking about the best skill quarterback, like your skill set. Can you throw the ball 45 times and lead your team that might not be as talented to a victory, right? Like, if A.J. Brown's the quarterback, if Jalen Hurts is the quarterback for Buffalo, is he having the same success that Josh Allen is? Like, do you think Josh Allen has a lot of talent around him?
No.
Yeah, I mean, most of the time, Josh Allen has to be Superman in order for that team to win.
Right. I think people look at Josh Allen and say that offense is great because Josh Allen is great. I don't know that people look at the Eagles and say the Eagles offense has been great because if you're ranking the reasons why they're great, I don't know that you put Hurts all the way at the top every single week.
Well, the last 2 weeks, you wouldn't.
No, but some weeks you would. Some weeks you would say, man, if not for him, they would have lost that game. But most of the time when Buffalo wins, you would say, first and foremost, they won because of Josh Allen. When Kansas City has been great in the past and they won, you would say they won because of Patrick Mahomes. When Baltimore wins, generally at the end of the game, you say they won because they have Lamar Jackson. When Philadelphia wins, some weeks you say Jalen won them the game. Other weeks you say their defense won them the game. Some weeks you say A.J. Brown had an unbelievable game. Some weeks you say Saquon Barkley was the reason. It's never the same reason for the Eagles.
Except if it's Howie Roseman. That's the one guy you could always point to and say, Howie, thank you for assembling this group of guys.
Coming up, Jeff Nadeau has his favorite plays of the week, and he'll be joining us at 3:35 today with his favorite plays for this college football. Down to the stuff. Is this the final? No, next weekend is the big finale of the college football season.
Next weekend's all the crazy rivalry games like Ohio State, Michigan.
Right. The next Saturday you got Ohio State, Michigan, Auburn, Alabama, all Stanford, Notre Dame, all the big traditional type of rivalry weekend games. Egg Bowl. This is a sad time when the football seasons are coming to a close. But we'll get Jeff's favorite plays coming up in about 10 minutes from now on the Sports Bash. Hey, don't forget, when the Eagles win, you win. Get an order of spicy tandoori chicken wings for dine-in customers when the Eagles win at Nizam's, right up the road. Their lunch buffet on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. They've got a great banquet space that can seat up to 100 people for private events and celebrations. Tell Mike Gill from the Sports Bash sent you. All right, when we come back, we'll get Nadeau's plays. We'll also have football at 4 with Andrew DeCecco today. We'll talk about the matchup. Can the Cowboys really win this game? How much has changed between Philadelphia and Dallas from the first time they've played? Well, a lot. You'll hear about it coming up on the Sports Bash.
getting better.
On 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
All right, 3:33. We're hanging out at Chickies and Pete's. Go where the players go, right here at Chickies and Pete's. Yeah, we're in Egg Harbor Township. You can stop out. Good bar crowd today. Good food. I always recommend the Sweet Heat hot wings. And don't forget the Garage 62, which is the Jason Kelly burger and a beer. You can check that out right here at Chickies and Pete's in EHT. Mike Gill, the Sports Bash. Coming up at 4:30 today in about an hour. Nicky Nuggets responds to the criticism of him calling out 2 days in a row. He took that to heart, and the people on the text board let him know about it.
As they should.
I agree. Now, Joel Embiid out tonight. Nicky Nuggets back in.
We're used to that, though. Nuggets is like an Iron Man.
Nuggets is turned into Paul George. Paul George is back tonight. He didn't play last night, but Paul George is back tonight. For the Sixers, you can listen to the game right here on 97.3 ESPN. Mike Gill with you till 6 o'clock tonight. Don't forget, we have another chance for you. Your cue to call is on the way. Listen for that cue to call coming up on the Sports Bash Live on 97.3 ESPN. Jeff Nadeau, of course, our college football picker, will be joining me in just a couple of moments here. We'll get his plays of the week as the college football season coming down the stretch run here. And it's a college football playoff pool. They announced the other night, Ohio State 1, Indiana 2, Texas A&M. I was watching that game the other day. They were down 31-3 at one point. Were you watching any of that game, anybody?
No.
South Carolina fired Beamer after that game. They're up 31-3, and he blew it.
I did see ESPN put out a mock draft, a way too early mock draft yesterday.
I was all over.
Mendoza's number one overall pick.
You know I love a mock draft,
I
Josh.
know you do.
Josh, I love a mock draft.
Yes, you do.
And I was in on that mock draft. They had the Eagles taking
a wide receiver.
No, a defensive. Well, the one that I saw was defensive end, and I thought, are they really going to take an edge rusher? I feel like we talked about this the other day. It might be time that the Eagles need to start focusing on the offensive side of the ball on the draft. Because for so many years now, they've been able to go, and this is where their defense has been so good, because they have just focused on defense. They've got Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis,
Quinyon, Cooper
Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeSean. They've been able
Nolan
to go
Smith.
defense. They haven't had to take one guy on offense. So we'll see. All right, let's bring in Jeff Nadeau here on the Sports Bash as we get this week. That's live on 97.3 ESPN. Jeff, happy Thanksgiving, man. I won't see you next week. Maybe I will.
Same to you, Mike. Everybody out there, happy Thanksgiving.
I know. It's we're down that season, which means the college football season is almost out of weeks. And the Thanksgiving Day means it's the final big weekend of college football next week, all those big games. But first, we're going to take a look at this week's matchups here. Let's start with Jeff's plays of the week. And I'm interested in this first one, James Madison, Washington State. Now, JMU has a lot to play for here in this particular game, and some people thought that this would be like a game day type of atmosphere here. They are 13.5-point favorites in the game. Low over-under number, though, 42.5, depending on what book you like to use. A lot of the money, though, 96% go in JMU on the money line, spread line 71%, and the total, a lot of people like the over, 93% going over in this game. What about you, Jeff?
Yeah, I need to get the ship righted, Mike. I've had a rough couple of weeks myself, but I got to tell you, I like this spot for JMU. I mean, they have been just money at home. You look at this season, they're winning games at home on average by nearly 30 points a game. Just really right up there with your Indianas, your Ohio States. They've just been money there. And as you alluded to, they have a lot to play for. I believe they're the G5 representation at this point. I think as long as they continue winning, they've just been an unstoppable force. They're well coached under Bob Chesney, who I've heard rumors might be in the running to get that UCLA job. They've got a terrific run defense. They have a good quarterback in Alonzo Barrett. They're pretty kind of balanced on both the run and the pass. This is just a really good football team. And you have a Washington State team here that really has had no home all season. They're still in that kind of Pac-12. They don't have a conference just yet. Them and Oregon State, they're kind of a misfit toy type of team. They've been bad on the road, too. I mean, you look at the last game they went on the road, lost outright to a terrible Oregon State team. I think this is a great spot for JMU. They have really been good at home. I'll lay the 13.5 with the Monarchs here.
All right, JMU, and you mentioned they do have a shot for the college football playoffs. A lot has to happen. That last weekend in the American is going to be wild, right? That last weekend in the American, these last two with Tulane, they're kind of hanging on right now, but that conference has a lot to say on who's going to get that 12th seed in the college football playoffs. This next game will have a lot to say on who gets the ACC bid potentially. Pitt's taking on Georgia Tech. Now, Pitt lost last week against Notre Dame. That pretty much knocks them out of the mix there. But Georgia Tech right now is adding all sorts of a wrench in the wheel, if you will, in the ACC in this particular one. So they are taking on the Pitt Panthers in a game you could listen to here on 97.3 ESPN. Georgia Tech is a 2.5-point favorite in the game. The over-under 61.5. So right now, money line, the money's going Georgia Tech. The spread is going Georgia Tech. And the over-under is 56% taking the under.
Yeah, Georgia Tech, Mike, was lucky to get out of Boston College last week with a win. I think they're fine with that. That was really the big hurdle for them. You wanted to make sure this game meant what it had to mean. And, they gave it all they could, BC. They almost had them, but Georgia Tech fought back, found a way to win, which is what good football teams do. We saw, obviously last week, A&M did that as well. Mike, early I was considering, I was saying to myself, if I get a 3.5 on Pitt, I might play them here. But the number's 2.5. Number one, I'm getting Georgia Tech at home. I got to tell you, Mike, I was really irritated and downright, to be quite honest, turned off by some of Pat Narduzzi's comments last week about they just didn't care about that game. I don't know what kind of coach says that to his players. It's just bizarre. And they didn't care. They got blown out. I thought, really, that was one of the easier bets of the year on Notre Dame. Pitt just went into the corner and cried, it seemed like, the rest of the game. I think Georgia Tech's the player. I think they have the better quarterback. Remember, you have a quarterback in Heinschel who now has to go on the road here. He was not good last week. He's still a young kid. Good quarterback, but young kid. This is a big spot for him. A lot of pressure. Haynes King's been there. I think defensively, Pitt's hard to run on, but I think they can be had through the air. Again, this is one of those games where if it's 3.5, maybe you lean Pitt. It could fall right on 3, but I think Georgia Tech is they found ways to win these types of games. They've been winning a lot of games they really shouldn't have won either. I thought that Duke game, they probably should have lost. They found a way to win. That's what good teams do. I also throw in, Mike, Brent Key is a significantly better coach than Pat Narduzzi. I think Georgia Tech gets the job done here. I'll lay the 2.5 with the Yellow Jackets.
I like that play. It would send them to 10-1 on the season in the ACC. That would muddle the playoff pool, I would imagine. That the committee is hoping Georgia Tech loses, I would imagine?
Well, listen, I mean, they're not going to get a couple of teams in like last year. They're either a one team or no team. I think if Georgia Tech loses, I think that would be bad because then you have to try to find another team. Yeah, I think the hope is that like everybody loses and they don't have to include anybody from the ACC. No one has really made themselves look like the best team. Look, if Georgia Tech wins this game, they're in the ACC title game. I think if they win the ACC title and everything, they'll be in. They'll be the one.
Well, the problem is they're in first place in the ACC, but they're not the highest-ranked team in the ACC. So they got all sorts of stuff happening. So that Pitt-Georgia Tech game, listen to it on 97.3 ESPN. That will be a big one. Then this one, also on 97.3 ESPN, we'll pick this one up in progress after that Pitt-Georgia Tech game. I love this game. BYU, Cincinnati. BYU's favorite on the road, 2.5 here. Moneyline BYU, spread 83%. The money's going BYU. And the total, over 55.5. 80% of the money's going that way as well.
Yeah, I'm going to go against the move. I'm going to play under 55.5 here. I just feel like, to me, I don't think BYU totals should be in the mid-50s. This is a really good defensive team. This is a team that plays really slow. 28 seconds between plays. That's very low. 115th out of 136th. I think the quarterback play has been good, not great. I think they're a decent offensive team. But I look at Cincinnati. The offense has kind of hit a skid recently. I think they're a pretty good defensive team too. I think this game's kind of a lot like all the other BYU games that they play against high-quality teams. Lower scoring, 24-21, 27-24. I just think 55.5 is too high. If it's 51.5, I'm probably not on this. But I think this is just a little too high. I think this game means a lot to both teams. Possessions are going to mean a lot late. I think it's close. And again, there's just not a lot of pace here. BYU is elite defensively. They struggle in the red zone. I'm going to go under 55.5 here.
All right, under 55.5, BYU Cincinnati. That is the late game. It's an 8 o'clock kick. You can listen to that game on 97.3 ESPN. If you guys are playing these games and you want to bounce from restaurant to spot, you can bang it on the radio there. San Jose State, San Diego State. San Diego State at home, minus 12.5, the number there. The over-under in this one, 50. This one's money line, everything's going San Diego State. 76% are taking San Diego State in the number, 12.5. The under is the play, the over is the play here. 77% going that way, according to the numbers there. I'm very intrigued where you're going on this one.
Yeah, this is the one I like probably the most here, Mike. I'm going to lay the number with the Aztecs here at home. Couple of things that are important in this game. Last week, San Diego State, 17-7 win over Boise State. A lot of things are going on in that game. Boise State's quarterback didn't play, but there was a deluge in San Diego, which virtually never happens. And you know how it is in California, Mike. When it rains just a little bit, everybody's life goes nuts. They don't know how to behave. They don't know how to do anything. It was evident. San Diego State found a way to win by double digits, though, and they covered the number. But the weather was bad. Weather looks good this week. And, Mike, they get a San Jose State team that is completely quit. Last week, they got blown the hell out by Nevada, of all teams, 55-10, one of the worst teams in the country. San Jose's quit. They can't go to a bowl game. They're playing for absolutely nothing here. Now they're going to go on and take on the best team in this conference with a great defense. The other problem San Jose State has, Mike, is they are completely a one-trick pony. They cannot run the ball. And what it allows teams to do is just drop 8 back in coverage, and they can't run it. They just don't run it. They have no other play here. And what that means is it leads to a lot of incompletion. Clock stops. They can't keep the chains moving, and you're giving your opponent more and more possessions, which allows for 55-10 blowouts against Nevada. This San Diego State team, I think right now, is just in a good headspace. They have a great secondary, a good defense. I think they'll do enough. I had this one literally like 28-10, 27-7, 34-13. I'll lay the 12 with San Diego State.
All right, there you go. James Madison, Georgia Tech, the under, BYU, Cincinnati, and San Diego State. They are Jeff's favorite plays of this week. And, of course, the Thanksgiving holiday is coming up. That will be the last weekend before the conference championship games, all starting in the first week of December. And, of course, you can listen to all those right here on 97.3 ESPN. Looking forward to these games this weekend, especially. I want to see JMU and what happens in that game here. I'd love to see them sneak in. That'd be an awesome story. They were a 1AA team a couple of years ago to make that jump and go to play James Madison playing, Texas A&M or anybody would be an unbelievable story. So I'll be watching. And
let me tell you something, Mike. They have the ability to pull an upset. They're a really balanced team. I will throw out, Mike. I didn't throw in an NFL game. I will throw one out. I hit last week with the Carolina Panthers, by the way, I believe.
You did. That was a play you threw on this segment here.
Yeah, I'll give you another one. 2-8 versus 2-8. I'll go another bad team. Give me Cleveland +4 against the Raiders. Look, I'll take the better defense here. I mean, the Raiders can't stop anybody. I know Shadur's starting, but I'll take the defense. That's not a real good home field advantage to me. I don't think it's worth 3 points. Give me Cleveland +4. I think they win the game, but I'll take the 4 points.
All right, man. Well, we'll connect for next week. We'll see what's going on. It's a crazy week next week with Thanksgiving. If I don't see you, happy Thanksgiving to you, and we'll catch up soon.
Sounds good, Mike. Good luck.
All right, take care, everybody. Good luck to everybody out there. Make sure you don't bet without each side of your means there, Pete.
Don't bet your mortgage on BYU.
I like
on the BYU under.
I do like the James Madison 13.5. I do like that play, and I like the under the BYU Cincinnati game as well. Georgia Tech Pitt. He's right. That number. He said if it's 3, he might go Pitt. The way Pitt played last week, they were so bad. And Georgia Tech is a team I just don't know. Like, they did beat Clemson.
Yeah, I mean, they had game day there last week. They had a lot of.
And they laid that egg?
They laid an egg, yeah.
All right, when we come back, update on Joel Embiid, status for tonight, and Paul George. More Sports Bash on the way, plus the unsportsmanlike moment of the day. It's next.
They don't turn the ball over, and they're number one in red zone efficiency. So when they get inside the 20, they score touchdowns, not settling for field goals. So I do think there is something to be said for that approach. The problem that I have is that when you watch the film, there are open receivers in the passing game, and Jalen Hurts is missing them. That's what makes it dicey for a play caller. That's what makes it complicated for a head coach. When you have open receivers, when A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith and Dallas Goedert, these guys are schemed open and they don't get the ball for whatever reason, that becomes problematic.
Chris Canty, our unsportsmanlike moment of the day. It's brought to you by Whitehorse RV Center. Find fall closeout savings on 2025s and select pre-owned RVs. Shop now before they're gone. Whitehorse RV, your RV adventure starts here. Now, you listen to what Chris Canty said right there. That's not him hating on somebody. That's him just saying, I'm watching the film, and guys are getting schemed open, and they're not getting the ball.
That lends to the report from D. Gunn and other people saying that Jalen Hurts in practice will do one thing, and then in the game he kind of just goes off and does his own thing.
Now, I know people, especially in our area, perceive that Canty doesn't like the Eagles or he doesn't like Hurts. He certainly doesn't speak very highly of Nick Sirianni. But he's saying, look, I'm watching the film. They're scheming guys open, and they're not getting the ball for whatever reason. Does anybody have a issue when you hear that? Issue with Hurts, I should say.
Yeah, I mean, if they're scheming something in practice and he's hitting them in practice and they're getting the ball in practice, and then when the game comes around, it doesn't happen, then I think that's an issue. But
like Jalen Hurts is some spiteful guy where he's like.
But I don't get it because he is coachable, right? It's not like he's not a coachable player.
That's always been his whole thing, is that he's a coachable player. All he wants to do is win. Doesn't care how he wins. Doesn't care what it looks like. I don't know, but that's a pretty interesting bite there from Chris Canty. We'll have to revisit that one again because I think a lot of people need to hear that one again, and then I want to hear people's reaction to that particular one. 609-403-0973. That's our unsportsmanlike moment of the day. We'll do it again tomorrow. It's brought to you by Whitehorse RV Center. Your RV adventure starts here. Coming up, Andrew DeCecco has today's Football at 4. But right now I need caller 7, 609-573-3776, 609-573-3776. Caller 7, get in right now. You will be entered for this year's 99 Bottles Party. We're going to be live at Maynard's in Margate next Wednesday, and you'll be there as well with a chance to win tickets to go see the Eagles, Commanders club box seats, Sixers games, Flyers games, concert tickets, comedy shows all over the area. We got a whole bunch of tickets still coming in. Getting to 99. We're on our way to 99 pairs of tickets. We're almost there. We almost have 99 qualifiers, so caller 7, get in right now. 609-573-3776. Caller number 7, get in right now, and you will be entered for this year's 99 Bottles Party. When we come back, Andrew DeCecco has today's Football at 4 next.
On South Jersey's classic rock station, Rock 1041.
Get your game on at the Fanatic Sportsbook in the gallery at Ocean
Yeah, the
Casino
Flyers,
Resort.
they're on
Go
the
to
night.
Ocean Casino
Who's
Resort.
airing them?
For the win.
Nobody.
For more information, visit theoceancc.com.
Protect your home and auto.
I'd like for you to air the Flyers on Rock 1041 and just forget them.
NFC East. We're coming down the stretch. And here we go. Football at 4 with Andrew DeCecco today on the Sports Bash Live on 97.3 ESPN. Andrew, welcome back. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well, Mike. How about yourself?
Well, obviously, Andrew, we've got Eagles-Cowboys week. What do you know? 4-5-1, Dallas. These two teams played on opening night. Let's get your take on 12 weeks later. Are these teams similar, different? How do you kind of look at the two teams that played 12 weeks ago?
Yeah, they're different, especially from the Dallas standpoint. They have DeMarvion Overshown, who's back, Savone Rebel, their corner. They added Logan Wilson, of course, Quinnen Williams, Malik Hooker's back. And Donovan Ezaraku's taken on a much larger role this time around, their edge rusher. And so I think they're a lot different from a defensive standpoint than they were back in week one. And the Eagles also are a different team offensively. I think a lot was made about the Lightning at halftime, and maybe that altered the Eagles' offensive plans and functionality in that game. But I think as we've grown to learn, well, that was just a byproduct of what this offense has looked like for the better part of the season.
You know, a lot of people looking at the differences in these two teams. Let's look at the Dallas defense and how different they are. You mentioned Donovan Ezaraku, local kid. They also made the trade for Quinnen Williams. We saw them against the Raiders on Monday night. They dominated that game. Now, yesterday we talked with Q Myers, who covers the Raiders, and he said, look, their offensive line, a mess. You can't really put a lot of stock in it. But how much stock do you put into, the Dallas defense being a problem for this version of the Eagle offense?
Yeah, I still look at they're playing well, the Dallas Cowboys. Dak Prescott's having a good season. I look at the trenches, and I think Dallas, the game within the game to me is going to be the Dallas offensive line, they're healthy now. They have a lot of preeminent players on that line versus this resurgence in terms of the Eagles pass rush. And they've really rattled Jordan Love, they rattled Jared Goff, and they were not comfortable from the early onset of that game. And I think that ultimately played into some of the things that transpired throughout the game. And the Eagles have set the tone there. But this Dallas offensive line could pose some problems, especially if you have, let's say, Fred Johnson at right tackle, but maybe a new center this week, depending on what happens with Cam Jurgens.
Yeah, I want to get your take on, there's a lot of drama surrounding this team. I know you're not in the drama business, so we'll get into some of it coming up here in just a minute, but how much is the drama of the offensive line been a main component of the offensive issues this year? How much weight do you put on the lines, up and down season, some of it injury-related, guys in and out of the lineup playing hurt? Where do you put that on the pie chart of issues for the problems this offense seemingly is having?
Yeah, it's up there. It's up there. And, you can look at Saquon Barkley, and I know that there may be some that think he's a different player. He's the same guy, at least to my eye. I don't see a different player. And I still think he has acceleration and burst. He runs hard. He's decisive. If there's one criticism that I have, it's sometimes I notice that maybe if something isn't there, he presses and tries to hit the home run instead of taking what's in front of him. But I think the health of the offensive line has contributed greatly from a run blocking standpoint. They're doing really well in pass protection, but you look at Landon Dickerson's been banged up this year. He looks to be a little bit more healthy than he's been. Cam Jurgens had the off-season back surgery. Then he had the knee that he was working through against the Lions, and now he has a concussion that he's working his way back from. And Lane Johnson has been, whether it was the stinger, the foot, the ankle, the Lis Frank right now. So, yeah, I think that's fair to say. And if you can't protect up front, if you're banged up along the offensive line, I should say, it's really tough to play offense. And that's just one of the issues that the Eagles have had on that side of the ball this season. There's been several, but that's one that I rank pretty high.
All right, several is a good word to use. Andrew DeCecco, Football at 4. Let's look at several. The run game is a little different. I want to ask you, Barkley, whether he's the same player or not, I don't know, but is it a discernible, noticeable difference when Bigsby gets a touch?
Well, I also think defenses are playing them a little bit differently when Tank Bigsby's in the game. He seems to have a little bit more room to operate. he does add a spark. He's fresh. He hasn't had the volume of a Barkley, but I just think that I think Tank Bigsby is sometimes able to create his own holes. He has an interesting running style, unlike anything that I've really seen, and he creates his own hole, and he has a spark. He's taken some negative runs too this season, but I think he's a good player. I mean, if I'm the Eagles, I'm trying to find a way to incorporate him more. Now, more meaning 6-7 touches a game, because I think that he adds a different dimension out of the backfield. And I also wouldn't be surprised if you see some Shipley as well, just kind of integrating all three running backs who bring something different to the table, kind of like what you saw on that opening drive against Green Bay. I think if you're an offense that's trying to find answers and you're stuck in the mud, this is what you got. So you got to try and find different ways to dress it up with personnel groupings. Maybe you work in a Cam Latu if you're going to go heavy 12 personnel, meaning 2 tight ends, and try to find a way to create some more space in the running game.
Andrew, the pass game. What do we make of this thing? Is there meat on the bone they're missing? Is it just not a good passing game? Why is it so free? Is it the weather? I mean, I've heard people say, hey, look, they played in Green Bay. It was very windy. They played at home, and it was 40-mile-per-hour winds. Did the wind have something to do? Because Green Bay's offense didn't look very good. Detroit's offense didn't look very good. How much stock do we put into that? Or we just look at this offense and say, look, they just do not have a very good pass game at this stage of the season.
Yeah, I look at it, I mean, and there's a lot I have to say about this, because first and foremost, in the Saquon Barkley era, there's been little to no evidence that the Eagles have had this explosive, dynamic passing attack. Now, when you have those kind of weapons and there's that much money invested into the offense, it needs to look considerably better than what it has. I look at the Green Bay game, frigid temperatures. I look at the Detroit Lions game, and I look at the wind, and it impacted both quarterbacks. Jared Goff completed 37.8% of his passes, Jalen Hurts 50%, and then in the Green Bay game, both offenses struggled there as well. So I think there's a common theme. But that's not to absolve this offense this season that has yet to sustainably put together any semblance of a symbiotic passing offense that should be able to almost, I don't want to say roll out of bed, but should be able to put up 24 points, 27 points on a given week. And for whatever reason, they're not doing it. Now I look at self-inflicted wounds. I look at missed opportunities from Jalen Hurts, because there are plays to be made. He's got to pull the trigger sooner. And then I also look at Kevin Patullo and the play calling, which needs to be better sequencing. Doesn't seem to necessarily have a great feel for that at this stage. So there's a lot of things that are contributing to it. But in this game against the Dallas Cowboys, as we move forward here, I mean, this is a game where there's no excuses. You're playing in optimal conditions, indoors, against a Dallas secondary that have proven that they'll give you some opportunities to strike on some big plays if you're able to connect.
Yeah, and this obviously is a Dallas defense that's not great. We certainly saw the Philadelphia defense be great. I want to get into them. I know we talked about the drama a little bit. Last week it was A.J. Brown. This week there's a report, that there's some questions about the quarterback. The quarterback says it is what it is. Obviously, Sirianni says, I don't put credence on it. Should we put credence on this? Is this hey, where there's smoke, there's fire, or is there no evidence that there's friction inside that locker room?
Well, I like to put out my disclaimer and that I don't work for TMZ. I cover football, but it is a story. And what I can say is just I thought that when Jalen Hurts had to answer for it Wednesday at his press conference, he did a really good job of being accountable, as you would expect any leader to do. I think locally, his stoicism and the way that he goes about his business is respected and acknowledged, and that's what you expect from a leader. And it's kind of hard to poke and prod at anything he had to say yesterday. And with regards to those comments, I thought he did a nice job. And then he also likes to shift his focus on the collective about not letting that detract from his weekly preparation. And he really wants to exhaust most of his energy, all of his energy, in the upcoming matchup, which this week is the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, and obviously it's been a distraction for a team that wins a lot. And they win a lot, Andrew, because their defense has been excellent. Now, I'll go back to the thing saying their defense is really, really good. There's not any question there. But we talked about the wind and the weather, and is it that they're that dominant, or did the wind and weather play a factor in their dominance the last 2 weeks?
Yeah, it's a fascinating question because I certainly think against Detroit, who entered that game averaging 31.4 points per game. Yeah, I think the wind altered their, or certainly aided them in what they were able to do from a defensive standpoint. But Mike, this defense is the real deal. They have a pass rush now that has been a ripple effect that's aided all three levels of the defense. That's alleviated pressure on the back end. They're sending waves of rushers. Jalen Phillips, Jalen Hunt, who, by the way, probably played his best game as a pro Sunday night against Detroit. And I think the insertion to Kobe Dean was really what's ignited this defense because he sets the tone from a physical standpoint, attacking downhill. His mindset is when in doubt, strike somebody. And the way that he sort of looks at the linebacker position is we run with 4-3 and we bang with 350. So he brings an imposing physical mentality to that position, and he's almost like a coach on the field. And when you have that added to what they already have, and you couple that with Jalen Phillips and the return of Nolan Smith, yeah, this is a defense that not only what they're doing right now, I believe, is absolutely sustainable, but I think they're only going to get better. And I think, Mike, it could rival and be even better than the defense last year that was tremendous.
Well, Andrew, I'll tell you this. December 2nd is the debut of Hard Knocks in-season NFC East. You don't have to be TMZ. Maybe they'll take care of that for us. But until then, it's an Eagles-Cowboys game. I know we got to get out of here. I want to get this last take from you.
Yeah, sure.
Dallas is 4-5-1. This is it for them. If they win this game, they're still alive in a wild card. It's still far-fetched for them. Philadelphia way ahead here. Is this a dangerous spot for Philadelphia? Do you think that this is a game? Philly's the better team. Obviously, everybody sees the records. They beat them once. But is this a dangerous spot with what Dallas needs from this game?
Yeah, Mike, I do see this as a tricky spot. I'm not saying that the Eagles are ripe for an upset or it's a trap game, but this is a game that you can't take lightly because on paper it looks like they have nothing to play for and their season's sort of dead in the water, but I wouldn't be so quick to rule the Cowboys out. The Eagles have had trouble playing historically at AT&T Stadium, and the Dallas Cowboys are a lot healthier than they were in the previous matchup, and they're a different team. So are the Eagles. But, yeah, I think a loss, if the Eagles are to come away with a win, that pretty much, ends the Cowboys season. If not, like you said, they're still alive, and they're a team that when you look at what they have, yeah, they're kind of interesting. But I think this game kind of reminds me a little bit of that Steelers game from last season. I don't know if you're going to see the explosive passing offense like you saw in that game, but I do believe they'll move the ball and sort of conjure shades of what they were at times last season.
Andrew DeCecco, everybody. Make sure you check out all his coverage of the Eagles over at InsideTheBirds.com. He's got a really good piece up on Kobe Dean's return from injury and how he has set the tone on that defense, among other great articles and more coverage from the guys over at Inside.
By the way, I wrote one that came out this morning on Brett Toth and his leadership behind the scenes and how he's impacted some of the younger linemen. So it's a story that you don't often hear about, but I think, it's especially relevant now with Brett potentially starting this week. So if you get a chance, I think you'll really enjoy it.
Yeah, and he's played, pretty well in his 2 starts at center. So check out that piece as well over at InsideTheBirds.com. And, of course, more on Football at 4 right here on the Sports Bash Live on 97.3 ESPN. All right, Andrew, thanks, buddy.
Mike, have a great one.
As always, Andrew DeCecco and the Football at 4 guys here on the Sports Bash Live on 97.3 ESPN, brought to you by our friends at Ocean Casino Resort at the Gallery, Bar, Book, and Games. All right, Mike Gill and the Sports Bash is live. So there you heard from Andrew some of the things, challenges, and we've been playing some of the audio throughout the day. When you talk about DeSean Jackson and the stuff that he talked about, when you say some of the responses from Jalen Hurts, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt if you come out on the field and play well on Sunday. I don't care what's going on in that locker room in terms of you don't like this guy, he don't like you, he did this, she did that, they did this. It all goes out in the wash if you play well on Sunday. Right? You get a job done on Sunday. I don't care if you guys have dinner together, have lunch together, talk to each other, don't talk to each other. We know all the stories. You work at a spot, you don't like this coworker, that coworker doesn't like you, yada, yada, yada. It happens. So get it done. Put everybody, shut everybody up. You got a split in the divide in the fan base of how dare you question Jalen Hurts. I'm tired of people questioning him. Everybody's well within their right. Derek Gunn's a great reporter. I'm not sitting here saying he's making stuff up. It's not real. There's no problems. Jalen's earned the benefit of the doubt. Listen, you don't earn the benefit of the doubt for doing something one time and then you get away with everything the rest of your life, right? Hey, this guy was very successful. Then he went and robbed banks. Well, he was really successful in his previous life. Well, he still robbed a bank. You don't just say, hey, he won the Super Bowl, so therefore he's infallible. He can be a part of this. I'm not saying he is or isn't. I don't know. But I know that Derek Gunn's a good reporter. That I know. I do know that Derek Gunn doesn't make stuff up. And quite frankly, I don't care if Derek's report is accurate or not. I want to see results on the field that I have not been seeing. I want to see results on the field that really this team shouldn't be having issues with. And regardless of who you think it is, Hurts, Brown, the offensive line, Saquon Barkley, the coaching staff, there's no reason that they shouldn't be able to score 20 points a game. 20, I'm saying. I'm not even asking for, take a look at right now in this league. The offense gets all the rules are for offense. Offense. You get everything. You get everything. All the offense gets everything. In this league right now, where offense gets everything, the Philadelphia Eagles in points per game are at 23.4, which is middle of the pack. The Indianapolis Colts, who they have Jonathan Taylor. Can you name one of their receivers? Do you know who, the big play? Do they have A.J. Brown? Do they have Devontae Smith? Is their quarterback somebody that you yearn to have? They have Daniel Jones. They're scoring 32 points a game. The Dallas Cowboys are rolling out of bed scoring 30 points a game. The Seattle Seahawks with Sam Darnold are averaging 30 points a game, 29.4. Buffalo, 29.2. Detroit, 29.2. The Rams, 27. New England, 26. Chicago, the Bears, are scoring 25. Kansas City, who's 5-5, is scoring 25 a game. The Ravens, who lost Lamar Jackson and lost 5 straight games at one point, are scoring more than you are. Tampa, 25. Pittsburgh, 24. Green Bay, 24. San Francisco, 23. And then there's you. That's where you're at right now with this offense. I think it's fair for people to have some questions. And if you want to be the person that buries your head in the sand, well, it's not Jalen Hurts, that's fine. I think he has a role in this. I think he has a role. I think the line has a big role. I think the coaching has a role. I think AJ has a role. This is a team game. They all have a role in this. But they have a chance to really shut everybody up. 425, Dallas, which, by the way, I wrote an article for 97.3ESPN.com yesterday. The Eagles-Lions game, 23 million people watched the game. Sunday Night Football. It was the most watched Sunday Night Football game since 2013. All right? 2013. That was a Chiefs-Broncos game in 2013. The only game last week that was watched by more people was Chiefs-Broncos, 425 Sunday, CBS. Almost 30 million people watched the game. Could Philadelphia and Dallas top that? Because guess what? Get your popcorn ready. It's Eagles. It's Cowboys. It's going to be on Fox with Brady and Burkhardt. It's going to be a huge scene of people that want to see if the Philadelphia Eagles can get their act together. I'm Mike Gill. This is the Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN. Coming up, the Nuggets respond. Nuggets missed 2 days in a row. Now he's back today. He says he has a message for the people on the text board who buried him yesterday. 2 days off in a row for being sick. What will the Nuggets' response be? Find out next on the Sports Patch. Knicks Nuggets. It's 97.3 ESPN, the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app, and live video streaming on the X platform and on YouTube. Subscribe, hit the like button, share. You can comment on the show feed or text us at 609-403-0973. We're live at Chickies and Pete's in Egg Harbor Township today. Stop on out and see us. Go where the players go. Chickies and Pete's. We'll be back with the Nuggets coming up next.
With Black Friday savings at the Home Depot, you can get up to $1,400 off, plus get free delivery on select appliances like LG, America's most reliable line of appliances. Check out the newest LG refrigerator with new mini craft ice, straight from the dispenser. Shop Black Friday savings on select LG appliances, plus get free delivery now at the Home Depot. Free delivery on appliance purchases of $396 or more. Offer valid 11/5 through 12/3. U.S. only. See store or online for details.
Shaw. What's going on, man?
I can hear you now. Listen, I saw all the texts. I'm back. Everyone calling me Bueller. I had to respond. Just had to respond to all of the slander I was getting from you, Josh, Cheap Seats Pete, I'm sure, had some comments as well. I take 2 sick days. Everybody gets up in a tizzy. I'm down for the count for a couple of days.
You sound perfect now. You sound normal.
Yeah. It's almost unprecedented. It's almost unprecedented to take 2 consecutive sick days.
So he sounds better than ever.
Yeah.
If the Sixers, because I'm on a bunch of meds at this point. It gave me every pill under the moon.
He's got the doctor's note.
I got the note in my bag. I'll walk out and get it.
Put that right on the table and say, read this. That's my get out of jail free card.
Yeah. I have the note. They told me, take it easy, relax, So we're back. All right. If the Sixers put me on their injury report, everyone would be like, just wait till March. Get him to March at some point. Get him to Radio Row.
Well,
as long as he gets there, he's fine.
That's what differentiates this show with the Sixers and other teams. We come to play every night. We don't just guess who's going to be in the lineup. You show up. When people turn on this radio, they expect to hear Sports Bash, Mike Gill, Josh Henning, Mondays and Thursdays, Pete G, 4:30, Nuggets. Now, listen, every once in a while you got a sniffle. You might take the day off. 2 days off in a row is, it's unheard of.
This is just the boomer babble that I'm used to. I'm used to it. I know you're Xers and millennials, but you all lump into boomer for me. It's just old man babble. At this point, I had to go through all these storms and swim to school when it rained when I was growing up. I'm alone. I took a couple days. I got back. Now I'm better than ever. I feel a little bit more energized. I was about 85% today. I'm about 6-7%. Gen Z right there. That's where I'm at. So
you're one of those guys. You're one of those guys that goes into the kitchen at the office and reads those stupid things on the wall and is like, oh, see, they told me if I have a sniffle that I should let somebody know. Don't go to work if you got a sniffle because that thing on the wall said it.
That's just a CYA right there.
If most people don't know, I got a couple of jobs here. I got the 97.3 gig. I got my other gig, full-time gig, etc. I took off from everything. I took it off. And no one wants to see you sick. No one wants to talk to you. I wouldn't have been as productive. The Nuggets wouldn't have been the same if I was here yesterday.
We had the jerky the last couple days.
Yeah, I had the jerky. Did a great job with the jerky. I texted Josh, hey, fantastic. I was able to tune in. Now, I heard your criticism of texting while sick. What, am I not allowed to have my phone on me? I can still text. No, I'm not talking. I don't have mucus coming out of me or anything.
All I know is when I was sick, there was no way I was texting. So if you are at the point where you can function to text or turn on the television, you're not sick enough to not work.
I think that's a little ridiculous. It was coming from the world traveler, Mike Gill over here. It takes 3 weeks off in the summer going all over the world.
I did see that text coming in. Yep.
I'm under the weather. I don't get sick very often. I don't take days off very often. I'm calling from New York City. I'm getting on the train, for goodness sake.
Gill's over here trying to get dinner recommendations for Egypt. When he goes there in a couple months.
You're traveling the world for weeks on end. I got me and PG have to fill in Kevin Durso, and he's all over the place.
I will not apologize for using vacation days.
I'm not going to apologize for using sick days. I had a bunch of sick days.
I will say, in all my time here at 97.3 ESPN and previously 1450 AM, I have never called out sick once.
That's fantastic. You must have a better immune system than I do. I just, it happens. It got me this time. I
just feel like people on the text board were questioning the validity of the failed immune system. That's all.
There shouldn't be anything. I got the doctor's note in front of me. I wasn't feeling up to it yesterday at all. I was out. I was down for the count. I was in my bed. I turned on the Sports Bash every once in a while, watched some tape. Really all I could do. I was out. I was down for the count. The meds started kicking in. Started feeling a little bit better. Yeah, that's what's got to happen over a day or two.
See, he's got to play the game, though. You can't be listening to the Sports Bash while you're out sick. You got to play the game.
I have to. I have to try and tune in for it. But, hey, it is what it is.
Well, I think there's a lot of people on the text board yesterday I think
Can
we're
I
taking,
respond to a couple of these texts?
some
I have.
necessary shots.
I have a source that sent me all the texts. I'm just saying. I have. them
Oh,
all.
there's a mole like the AJ Brown situation.
Wow.
Somebody's talking to the media here.
You know, I got a source, and I gotta say, shout out to Matt. Yo, he's on my side. He said, "quote Gil will go off the air for weeks on vacation endlessly, but is giving Earnshaw the earful." Typical Philadelphia media. I agree, Matt. I agree. At least I got Matt on my side. There's a few other great ones as well. What was the one? Oh, this is from JW in Ocean City. No more Knicks Nuggets. His new Delta Tau Chai name is Nick the Sick or Nursing Nick. I just saw Nuggets and Embiid and Paul George at yesterday's Creekside. I mean, first of all, I'm not a big party. I'm a loser. I don't go out very often. So let's get that out of the way. I go sit in the nosebleeds with Cheap Seats Pete. That's essentially my social activity.
By the way, Cheap Seats Pete is going with some sort of Philly tuxedo look today.
Oh, yeah.
He's got a Flyers hat on, which is black and orange and black, and a West Virginia 3/4, which is blue and yellow.
That's brutal.
I learned from the best,
not even
man.
Tuxedo.
Yeah, that's just
Not even close.
a confused sports fan tuxedo.
This guy's lost. This guy's lost.
Unbelievable.
My goodness. But listen, hey, I took a couple days off, and now look, I'm much better than I would if I came back yesterday. I wouldn't be the same day. It wouldn't be the same Nuggets. Wouldn't be
Chris
the same.
in Delaware says Nuggets as reliable as Joel Embiid. I mean, you're getting
Wow.
that. Yeah.
Oh, I got like 3 jobs there, Chris. I mean, what are we doing? I work 6 to 7 days a week. I take 2 days off for being, under the weather here.
The people were not happy with the 2 day in a row sick.
Listen, as it kills me. It kills me not to do the Nuggets, not to go into work. You know how much I want to be there. But I was very sick. I couldn't get out of bed. I had to get myself to the doctor, I had to find a way to get food. I was door dashing. It was nuts.
Couldn't get out of bed, but found a way to get to the doctor.
Found a way to get to the doctor.
I had that doctor's note.
I had to get the doctor's note. Well, they tested me for all these diseases. Who the hell knows? Everyone's sick right now, it feels like. There's a lot of people who are sick. I ended up getting the bug.
Wow. All right. Well,
you're working too hard, man. You got to just take a breather.
Yeah, see? That was a recommendation by the doctor. Said the blood pressure a little up there. I'm doing too much. So he said, relax. So, but yeah, I know there's a demand for the Nuggets, and, we're going to give them to them today. So let's get into them. I see if you're watching the X platform and on YouTube, Nick the Sick. Is that a new one? I got 18 nicknames already. We're Nick the Sick now?
For the last 2 days, apparently.
Not Nicky Six. Nick the Sick.
Yeah.
No, Nick the Sick. All right, it is what it is. But getting to these Nuggets, I mean, my goodness, someone who's really sick is the whole entire Philadelphia organization right now in the Eagles. And A.J. Brown has really ignited this thing by his social media stuff. And listen, whether you agree with him, you think he's in the right, I understand that. But this is now elevated to another level once again. It feels like there's something new every single year with this team in how they go about their business. And, it's with the offense. I do want to play a quick clip from DeSean Jackson. I know you guys have been playing different clips throughout the day. I want to play this clip from DeSean Jackson, who's wide receiver 1 in Philadelphia for a little while, and talking about AJ drawing the attention to himself. That was very unnecessary. Take a listen.
I don't like to criticize people, but I'm a realist, and I gotta speak the facts. I feel like he's brought a lot of attention upon himself. I think he's a hell of a talent. As a wide receiver, you should want the ball, but sometimes as a wide receiver, we have the diva or the selfish mentalities, right? When you're in the instance where you're doing these, you're out on social media, or you're on Twitch, or you're saying all this, or you're posting things on your Twitter page or your Instagram, it brings more attention to you, right? And if you're going to bring the attention to you, that means you have to be on your game that much more. Your game got to be superior.
So there's that from DeSean Jackson. But I also want to play a clip from Dan Orlovsky, because we know it's all getting directed towards Jalen Hurts, and Jalen Hurts has taken a lot of the criticism as of right now. Take a listen to what Dan Orlovsky has to say about the criticism that Jalen Hurts is taking.
What's going on with Hurts is so disingenuous and disrespectful to Jalen Hurts. And I'm not the biggest Jalen Hurts fan. All this dude does is literally everything that everybody begs every other quarterback to do or knocks them for not doing. This dude is 51-14 since 2022. He's been to 2 Super Bowls. He's won 1. He's been the MVP essentially in both. All he does is win. All he does is be obsessed with football and winning and doing what's best for the team. And we're just finding ways to knock him or take shots at him.
So there you have Dan Orlovsky kind of responding to all this hoopla going on around the Eagles and the offense. Okay, number one, A.J. Brown and DeSean Jackson is right. He is bringing way too much unnecessary attention. That's the whole thing of him going to social media, doing the Twitch stuff, posting on Twitter. I mean, it's just ridiculous at this point. Then you have Orlovsky talking about Jalen Hurts taking all the criticism. I mean, Jalen kind of responded to it yesterday in his press conference, but it really is not fair to him that he's taking all of this when, for the most part, it's been a collective issue, and we've talked about that ad nauseum here on this show. Not the Nuggets this week because, I was down for the count for a couple of days here. But for the most part, that's what we've been talking about as a collective. It can't just be one guy.
And I think all the criticism across the board is fair. I don't think anybody deserves 100% of the criticism, but I think everybody, it's a team game. And if you want to look at the problems of this team, it is a team criticism. So Jalen deserves some. AJ deserves some. I think the offensive line deserves some. I think the coaching staff deserves some. There's nobody that gets 100%. You might want to say one guy gets 60, the other guy gets 20, the other guy gets 20, maybe. But I think ultimately the pie chart is kind of split up pretty equally here. That's why you have problems, because this guy – now, there are times where it's like, hey, it's noticeable that one particular player, maybe an offensive lineman, he just needs help and he can't block and they got to keep sending double teams to help that guy out. And you can say, hey, look, the right side of our line, this offensive line is not the same. The passing game, not the same. The run game, not the same. All of it encompassing, all of it together is why this offense is struggling. There's no one reason. As far as what Orlovsky said regarding the criticism of Hurts, people act like if you had success in your past, that just leaves you that you can no longer be evaluated. Like, at what point is the evaluation period stop and we say, okay, I can't evaluate you anymore because you've done all these things in your past? Like, I've never heard of such a thing.
No. He's still open to criticism. That's fair. He didn't play well last week. He didn't. That's pretty obvious, right? Bro, just watching the tape. But overall, throughout the season, you can't just lay it all on Hurts. It's not just him. And I know that Derek. I'm not saying you. I'm saying a lot of people out there in the media, fans, want to put it all on Jalen, and the organization now with the reports coming out want to pin it all on Jalen. There's a lot of factors here. This team has not been creative offensively. The way they've run everything has not been sound.
I think that many fans always want to deal in absolutes. Like, fans are not really trained to compartmentalize, right? It always has to be, because fans like to debate, and then they also like, at the end of the day, and it's just what's great about being a sports fan. You have a topic, you then debate the topic, and then both people think they're right. There's no giving in a sports debate. You're either right or wrong. There's never like, hey, you know what? Like, sometimes I'm right, sometimes I'm wrong. And in this instance here, the fans are saying either it's all Jalen, and then the other side saying, you can't blame him. It's not his fault. You're allowed to say, you know what? 25% of it is Jalen's fault. But fans don't want to deal in pie charts. It's like the guy who, you say, hey, so-and-so's a really good player, and then he goes 0 for 6. And you're like, that guy stinks. And you're like, he went 0 for 6 tonight. That doesn't mean he's going to go 0 for 6 every single night. Like, let the damn season play out. But fans by nature want to react to every single thing and say, I told you so.
Don't you think Jalen and AJ should take your advice, maybe go have a beer and get this stuff figured out?
Phenomenal, Bob.
Have a pizza, have a beer, and get it figured out? Maybe meet in the middle.
Distracted by this pizza over here that looks exceptional.
I'm with you. But I agree. I mean, if you look at some of the numbers just from Jalen this year, I mean, some of the bigger numbers, right? Some of the analytics, deep ball completion, top 5. in the league. Pressure completion, number 1 in the league. Completion percentage versus man coverage, number 4 in the league among quarterbacks. Completion percentage versus zone, number 12, much better than it has been in the past. Passer rating versus man, number 3 in the league. That's among all quarterbacks in the league right now. Like he's still like having a good season on paper. You look at some of the numbers, they're pretty good. There's other numbers that are not so great. Like him individually has been pretty decent because they've been efficient. And, that can be criticized. They've done some things poorly. Obviously, they need to score more points. But it's a collective. The offense is stagnant. And it's the play calling that has not helped them. We have talked about guys like Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay, able to scheme receivers open. When have you seen that from this Eagles team this year? You really haven't a ton.
Well,
and if you go
Josh,
look at the pie
if
chart,
you have that bite from Chris Canty that we played for the unsportsmanlike moment of the day, he's disagreeing with that comment right there. He's saying, I'm watching the tape, and these guys are open, and they're not getting the ball for whatever
but that's
reason.
every quarterback.
Here we go. This is what Chris Canty said on Unsportsmanlike this morning.
They don't turn the ball over, and they're number 1 in red zone efficiency. So when they get inside the 20, they score touchdowns, not settling for field goals. So I do think there is something to be said for that approach. The problem that I have is that when you watch the film, there are open receivers in the passing game, and Jalen Hurts is missing them. That's what makes it dicey for a play caller. That's what makes it complicated for a head coach. When you have open receivers, when A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith and Dallas Goedert, these guys are schemed open and they don't get the ball for whatever reason, that becomes problematic.
So he's saying they are schemed open and they're not getting the ball.
Okay, but if you are looking at some of the routes that were run last year by A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, way more diversified, way more when Kellen Moore was at the helm. Way more. Go look at the route trees. They've been way more diversified last year compared to this year.
That's what I was saying earlier, though. You can't tell me that Patullo and Sirianni don't know how to run complex routes. They know that these are basic routes.
Right, but this goes back to the conversation we had earlier, is that, yes, these routes, I think, are stuff that they want to do.
The hitch route is number 1.
Does the quarterback want to throw to those routes?
That's an issue. That's something where they all have to get on the same page. I think it's a combination of everybody.
So this goes to the Derek Gunn report, which is there are people that are not happy with the offense and many people, it sounds to me, if I'm putting the Derek Gunn thing, the offense and the way it looks, and all this stuff together, well, they're not happy with something about the offense. Well, is the quarterback going to the coordinator and saying, these plays here, I'm cool with. These plays here, I don't want those plays. So, in other words, I can't call these plays that give you a better route tree because the quarterback doesn't want to throw those, doesn't want to call those plays.
Yeah, listen, they are obsessed with one route. I'll be quick here. Brendan Deeg put out a fantastic stat. They have the 2nd, 3rd, and 16th most hitch routes run in all of football. 3 players in the top 16. They are obsessed with one route, and that is very easy to defend if you're watching the film. It's all encompassing.
I think that's easy to see that and then blame the offensive coordinator. But again, it goes back to, is this Jalen Hurts saying they're the plays that I want? Because Jalen does not want to throw the ball over the middle. He doesn't want to throw between the hashes. Everything he wants to throw is either down the field, outside the hash marks, safe spots where he knows that he's not going to get picked off. So those hitch routes are things that, hey, pretty much the receiver's going to be in front of the defender. It's not going to get picked off. So that is why, and that stat there was one of the reasons I said, man, he's got to be telling them, I don't want these plays. These are the plays that you got to call for me.
He's right because they're 8-2. They keep winning. They keep winning. They keep finding ways to win. So it is what it is. But, hey, I got to take a swig of this electrolyte drink that I have right now before I get off. And then I'll
Sixers nugget
tomorrow.
You leave me hanging with no Sixers nugget.
I had to respond.
I mean, your guy Embiid hasn't played for 12 days. 12 games. How long has he been out for?
I haven't been here in 2 days. But I had to respond to Eagle stuff. I know. We'll get to it, cheap seats, Pete. I'll text you.
They're playing at home tonight. Why don't you head over there?
No, it's at Milwaukee.
Yeah, it's the way I think. Tonight, right?
Wasn't last night's game at home?
Last night was at home.
Yeah.
Quick trip to
they got
Milwaukee.
a back-to-back to go back-to-back at home. Okay.
Yep.
All right. 8 o'clock on 97.3
Another
ESPN.
back-to-back for you.
All right, Nuggets, see you.
All right, peace.
All right, there's the Nuggets.
I know
today.
you like those back-to-backs.
Terrible. In fact, Spoelstra, they asked him about the back-to-backs the other night.
He doesn't like them.
No, well, he said they're not going away.
They're not going
They're
away.
not going away, he said.
But the Sixers have had, 5 so far?
I think this is their 5th coming up right
And
here.
teams
Or
like
their 4th.
Houston, they have had none. So there's a big disparity of.
I told the NBA I could help get rid of the back-to-backs.
I can't wait to hear this idea.
Sports
This
Bash
light
Live,
bulb idea.
97.3 ESPN. Coming up, one thought every game. Casey Joyner, stick around. But first, I need caller 7 right now. Lucky 7, 609-573-3776. 609-573-3776. Caller number 7 right now. You are our latest entry into this year's 99 Bottles Party. It's over at Maynard's in Margate. We're going to be there live on Wednesday at Maynard's. You must be present to win. We're going to be giving away 99 pairs of tickets. That's how it works. 99 pairs of tickets. Every single qualifier will win a pair of tickets, including Eagles Club Box seats, Eagles Commanders, Sixers tickets, Flyers tickets, concert tickets, comedy shows, and more. 99 pairs of tickets. We're working our way up to 99. And caller 7, we'll see you there. Good luck.
can't log in.
Home of the Philadelphia Eagles.
They've got him again!
Sixers.
Bang! It's good! Ball game!
And Flyers.
Tipped in front of the net!
97.3 ESPN. WENJ. WENJ HD. Millville, Atlantic City. A Town Square media station serving all of South Jersey.
All right, final hour of the show. Here we go. 5 o'clock drive home. Time for one thought every game. First off, congratulations to Adam in EHC, Zach in Dennis Township, Justin in Pittman. They were all qualifiers today, along with Rashid in Atlantic City. We'll see them all at 99 bottles. It is your last chance to enter this hour on today's show. Listen for your cue to call. Let's get into it. One thought every game. Casey Joyner from The Athletic joins us. Thursday Night Football tonight is on Rock 104.1, and it is a good game tonight. It's the Bills. You can listen to the game right here, over on our sister station, Rock 104.1. Casey Joyner is brought to you by BMW of Atlantic City, where luxury BMW experience is closer than you think. Take advantage of exceptional savings and experience luxury today. BMW of Atlantic City, Egg Harbor Township. Well, Casey, Eagles-Cowboys, we're going to start with that one. It is really the Cowboys' last chance here, right? I mean, they are 4-5-1. If they win, I guess they're still alive. If they were to lose, they're pretty much done here. But when you look at this matchup, how different are these two teams from the two teams that met on opening night?
I think the Cowboys have a better idea who they are as far as what kind of offense they wanted to run. I mean, Schottenheimer was talking earlier in the year. He was talking about when he came in the year, like he's a run coach and all that, but now he realizes that, look, you've got George Pickens, you got CeeDee Lamb, and you've got the defense that they have. You have to throw the ball more. So I think they have a better sense of who they are. And I think the Eagles thought when they came in the first game, like, hey, we're going to be what last year's team was. And you go, well, not really, because you guys are now getting back to the defense you had last year, but offensively, you're really about avoiding turnovers, and other teams are keeping you from getting big plays while you're avoiding your turnovers. So Eagles maybe more conservative, Cowboys less.
We talked a lot about on Tuesday some of the problems with this Eagles team, but you look at their offense as they go to play Dallas. They scored 24 points in that game on opening night, but, Dallas's defense has been miserable. The Dallas defense is better. And Philly has not run the ball all that well. Is this a bad matchup for the Philly offense?
Well, the last 4 games, the Cowboys are 15th in fantasy points allowed on planned rushing plays. It's a metric I use to gauge rush defense performance. That's good. That's better than where they were, because earlier in the year they were just really, really bad. Now, mind you, here's the thing, though. They're allowing 5.3 yards per rush on those planned rushing plays. So overall, not doing that badly, but they've only had 59 rushes for 310 yards in the 3 games they've played in that span. So 5.3 yards per attempt is near the bottom of the league. That may tell the Eagles, if that number holds up, that, okay, hey, maybe the Cowboys are better overall, but they might allow some big plays. So now the Eagles can look at it and go, all right, Barkley's not been getting the big plays that frequently, on occasion, but not that frequently. Maybe we need to lean on that and test that 5.3 yards per carry, because if you can start getting that and more from Barkley, okay, now you don't need Hurts to get into a shootout. You can get to shoot it on the ground.
the passing game for Philadelphia has been a struggle, but is this a week where they can make some plays in the passing game with what they do, which is very pedestrian? They do not have this elaborate passing attack, but, you look at the secondary of Dallas, they've got some people back. I mean, is it going to be a challenge for them?
It's tough on Dallas because there are reasons to think their coverage is a lot better. There are a number of metrics where they're doing better than they were, but I mean they're 26th in vertical points allowed in the last 4 weeks. And look at their coverage. Deron Bland's allowing 9.6 yards per target and allowing 14.7 PPR points per game. Those are both really bad numbers. Elam's playing better. You got Kalen Carson, who might be in there depending on what happens on the other side away from Bland. So they've got some decent metrics, but they've got a lot of players who don't have good metrics. And when you're giving up 7.7 points per game and 26 in the league. Those aren't very good numbers. And their tight end numbers aren't that good either. There's 23rd in tight end points per game allowed per game. So when I look at that, I go, well, Goddard can get involved. They've got some matchups you can get in the passing game involved. So I think it's one of those things where, all right, Dallas, you're giving up 5.3 yards on the ground over the past 4 games. We're going to go ahead and test you there. And if you want to get up there, you've got matchups we can go after. It's one of those things where if it's a one-on-one matchup, if you're Jalen Hurts, you've got to trust that you can't just, you've got to trust it and not worry about an interception on 50-50 ball. You get to go for it.
I'm interested to see when you look at the Eagles' offense, as we're kind of looking at their unit against the Dallas defense, where's there a spot that you think, hey, Philadelphia has the advantage here? Because kind of looking at this, they don't, Philly doesn't run the ball all that well. Dallas has beefed up their run defense. We just talked about this passing situation here. Where is Philadelphia supposed to attack if they want to have success?
Besides the ground game, where I thought they were going to have some success again, Deron Bland should match up against Devontae Smith, and again, Bland has terrible numbers. He's not his metrics are very subpar the past few weeks, allowing 9.6 yards per target. He's the most since week 8. He's the most targeted defensive back for the Cowboys. 23 targets. The next highest on that list is 13. 16 completions. That's more than almost everybody else combined. 221 yards, almost a 70% completion rate, 13.8 yards per completion, a 114 passer rating. I mean, all the numbers across the board are bad. Bland is just a guy you can go after. So Smith is not making as much noise as A.J. Brown does about getting the ball, but if I'm looking at the matchup going, that's probably who he goes up against. If he does, I'd like to see 10 targets go that way because that's a matchup that you need to go after as often as you can.
All right, let's flip over and look at the Eagle defense, which has been dominant here for Philadelphia. But this is probably maybe one of the best 2 or 3 offenses that they're going to see all season long. What worries you if you're Philly about the Cowboy offense? Where's that matchup that you would be concerned?
The thing is that if another team decides they want to go into shootout mode, they're going to try and attack you in ways that they're going to try and press you. Like you might not give them, as Al Davis used to say, the defense wants to tell us that take what we give you. We take what we want. Dallas is a team that might decide it can try and take what it wants, and if it does, where's it go after? It goes to the DeSean Jackson. He's allowing 11.6 PPR points per game. His numbers aren't terrible. He's got 6.0 yards per target, but he's the guy the team's been going after. I mean, I would avoid putting a Mitchell on then. DeSean has solid numbers and things. The Philly run defense, it was kind of a problem earlier this year. The Philly run defense, 3.5 yards per rush allowed on planned rush plays over the past 3 weeks. They're 5th in fantasy points allowed in that category. So if I'm the Cowboys, I'm looking. I don't think there are great matchups. Again, I think we're good. They should go after Jackson, but beyond that, they need to be aggressive and probably go on vertical passes because there's one area where the Eagles have struggled. 22nd in vertical pass points allowed the last 4 weeks. That's where I might go after and just take my chances.
Well, we saw a couple big plays from the Lions last week. They were able to get a couple big things, especially Jamison Williams getting his speed over the middle. We'll see how that. I want to get your thoughts because for years the Dallas offensive line was one of their strengths. Where is that line now? And you got Jalen Phillips, Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis. Obviously, Nolan Smith, J-Lex Hunt, is because Philly has gotten a lot of pressure without blitzing. Should they be able to do that?
Philly has blitzed 12.6% of the time since week 8, and that's, I think, the 3rd or 4th lowest in the league. They just don't get blitzed. And they're getting a 45% pass pressure rate, which is one of the highest rates in the league. So, yeah, they're doing fantastic. Dallas, they've allowed a sack on 7% of their dropbacks the past 3 weeks. That's middle of the league, 16th. They're allowing the 34.1% pass pressure rate. That's a good number. It's not a great number. It's okay. So look at that and go, I'm going to bet the Eagles are going to be able to get some pass rush. Can the Cowboys run the ball? Like I said, I think the Eagles, Fangio does a great job of being able to say, look, we can play coverage and we can still stop the run. There are a lot of things you could do on the front seven to make that happen, and they're very, very creative and very effective at doing those things. So if I'm the Cowboys, I just think, like I said, I've got to take the chance to go through the air. But I have a feeling if they do that, the Eagles are going to be able to get more sacks than Dallas is going to be able to get. Let's put it that way.
All right, we'll get the ultimate matchups here in just a bit, get Casey's pick on the game. But let's get into this week's edition of One Thought Every Game, and it starts tonight. The game's on Rock 104.1. Bills and Texans. Big game for both these teams. Bills need it to get that AFC East crown. Texans need it to stay in play for a wild card berth in this one. It is at Houston, though, and the Bills are a 5.5-point road favorite.
It's tough for Buffalo. I'm getting this information from my weekly picks article at The Athletic. They've got the emotional win over Kansas City Week 9. They fell apart against Miami Week 10. They got fired up last week and played at home, but now they got to follow up with a short week road game against a Houston defense that's top 5 in the league. Boy, that's tough. That's really putting them in the spot. I think Buffalo still has more talent, and I'm going to pick them to win because it's Josh Allen, and they got a lot of good players in that team. But Houston's playing well enough that I think it's going to be a real close game.
All right, One Thought Every Game. Let's go to the Sunday slate. Steelers and Bears. Bears, first place. Steelers, first place. Bears are a home favorite in this one here, but Steelers feel like they need this game more than the Bears do, although I think the Bears kind of need this game too. They got two teams coming after them, and the Steelers are trying to hold off the Ravens.
Yeah, and the Steelers, they've got, is Rodgers going to play? It looks like he's not, but he might be trying to fight through it, maybe trying to play some games there. Even if he does, though, the Bears' passing game, when I look at the numbers, the Bears' passing game is equal to the Steelers. The Bears have a much better ground game. That's before factoring in Jalen Warren's injury. Pittsburgh's got a better defense. It keeps the game close, but I still think Chicago wins.
All right, let's go. One Thought Every Game. Patriots-Bengals. This looked like it was going to be a fun game. Joe Burrow, he's actually practicing. Did we sneak him back onto this one? Patriots have won 8 in a row. They're an 8.5-point road favorite. It seems that Vegas is now buying into the Patriots.
You go to the fantasy page at ESPN.com. Joe Burrow is listed as the guy they think is going to be able to start this week. My fantasy team will love it. I got him on IR in one league, and I really need him. The Bengals need him, too, because as good as Flacco is, obviously Burrow is better, and Burrow can give you the production, maybe not throw as many picks, but I keep looking at it and go, the Bengals, they're horrible. They're 120 points allowed over the past 3 games. They're just atrocious. And if you get Burrow, you're just going to assure yourself of getting into the scoreboard shootout. So I'll take New England to win, but I wouldn't be surprised if Cincinnati covers.
All right, One Thought Every Game. We're going to go to Giants and Lions. Giants are obviously all sorts of a mess. Jameis Winston does add some intrigue, I guess, to their offense. But the Lions here, 10.5-point favorite, but 6-4, currently out of the playoff field. They need this one.
Yeah, they do. It's amazing that they are where they are. They've had a lot of injuries, and it's been an adjustment year for them. They're better. They've got better passing and rushing attacks on both sides of the ball. They're healthier and at home. Winston, he can turn any game into a scoreboard shootout, but he's a guy, he's going to throw a pick, maybe 2, and the Lions are very good at avoiding those sorts of things, so I don't see many passer victory from New York. I'll take Detroit.
One Thought Every Game. Vikings-Packers, big one in the north there, because the Packers, they're in this wild card mix. They're trying to catch the Bears. The Vikings, I guess, are on the fringe. If they get this win, that opens up a whole nother path of wild card teams.
Funny thing is, looking at the passing numbers for this game, you'd think the Packers' passing attack could be so much better. It's better, but not by nearly as much as you'd think. The Vikings are very close, even with McCarthy. Packers probably won't have Josh Jacobs. It's a step down to Emmanuel Wilson. They've got more talent overall in their home, so I'll take them, but I will not be a surprise at all if the Vikings keep the game close. I wouldn't be shocked if they won, but I think the Packers win, but it's going to be close.
Packers 6.5-point favorite in this one. Vikings did go to Detroit a couple of weeks ago and blasted them. Let's go One Thought Every Game to Tennessee. A home dog, 13 points. Seattle coming off their worst performance of the season. Now they got to go all the way to Nashville for this one. I don't know. 13-point favorite on the road for Seattle.
I do a group of analyses, statistical analyses, when I'm put these articles together for the Athletic, and this was easily the most lopsided game in that category. Seattle's just dominant in that area. They're just they have an advantage in every area. The thing is, it's at Tennessee. Teams sometimes don't take the trip to Tennessee as serious as they should. It's a hard place to play, so I still think Seattle wins handily. But like I said, it's in that environment. Won't be surprised if the Titans keep it closer than expected.
Little bounce back game here. Seattle needs the game, by the way. They have now fallen behind the Rams in the NFC West. Let's go one thought every game. Ooh, Colts and Chiefs. Chiefs are favored in this game, but they are currently on the outside looking in that playoff field. The Colts, they are trying to hold on in the South, and they're playing for the number 1 seed in the AFC.
The Chiefs are not playing anywhere near as well as they were last year. The Colts, though, when I looked at the stat analysis, I thought going in, okay, the Colts are going to have an edge. I mean, not a big edge, but an edge. This thing was about even down the middle. And mind you, the point spread when I did the article was 3.5 in favor of Kansas City, which basically says that, since they're the home team, it's an even game. I'll give the Colts a big edge with Jonathan Taylor, but the Chiefs have Patrick Mahomes, who's still better than Daniel Jones. So when I get in a situation like this and it's that close of a game, I got to take the home team, and I take the team with the better quarterback, so I'm taking the Chiefs.
All right, Chiefs with that one. They lose probably a long shot to make the playoffs. If they lose that game, they would fall to 5-6. We were talking about a long shot to make the playoffs for the Ravens a couple of weeks ago. Well, here they are, a 13.5-point favorite. They've won 5 in a row, and if they win this one, there's a good chance they could be in first place with a win over the Jets.
This is another one that was surprising the way the analysis played out, because I understand why the Ravens are considered a 13.5-point favorite, or the spread is now. That's what it was when I wrote it, but it's a dismal Jets squad. But when I look at the stat analysis, I'm like, wow, the Jets are better than you would think. Special teams are better, and they have big edge of special teams, actually, which, again, Baltimore, John Harbaugh used to be a special teams coach. Wouldn't think it'd be the case, but they do. And when you look at all that, I'm like, look, Baltimore's going to probably want to win this game. I'm definitely going to pick them, but it just won't surprise me if the Jets stay close.
All right, they did 1-2 in a row, by the way. The Jets have won 2 straight. Just throwing that out there for the people. If you want to see an upset there, that would be pretty interesting, because the Ravens need that game as well. Browns and Raiders. Shedeur Sanders will make his debut against one of the worst teams in football right now. The Raiders are favored 3.5. Both these teams playing out the string. But can the Browns do a little research and find out if they don't have to draft a quarterback again for once? If he wasn't playing in this game, it'd be nobody even pay attention to this game, really, let's be honest. But, I mean, he's in there, so it's going to be the focus of the football world, which is amazing. But both teams are dismal. They rate terrible in each category. Cleveland has a big edge in pass rush. Raiders are healthier. They're the home team. I still think Geno Smith, even though he throws a lot of picks this year, I'll take him over Sanders, because Sanders, it's his first start. It's a road start. It's a hard place to play. I mean, it's a difficult situation to be in. So I'll take Las Vegas, but it's mostly because they're at home. And if I got to pick a close game like this, to take the home team usually. All right, Raiders and the Browns, that is a 4:05 game. I'm sure that'll be shown to like 3% of the country on that one there. One thought every game. Jags and Cardinals. I mean, Jacksonville's in this mix. They're in the wild card right now, and they are a road favorite in Week 12 of the NFL season. You talked about it Tuesday. The Cardinals might be one of the worst teams in the league right now.
They graded out terribly here again. I mean, they've graded out the past couple weeks like, they graded out badly against Seattle. I expect they graded badly against San Francisco. I expect that. They graded badly against Jacksonville when I did my system. It's just really, wow, Jacksonville's really a much better team. Arizona's getting good play out of Brissett. They're not going to have Harrison this week, but they're subpar worse in every other category. They have easily worse special teams in the league over the past 4 weeks. They're just abysmal there. I look at that, and I know it's a tough place to play going across the country for Jacksonville to play, but when you got that big of an edge, I got to take the Jags in this one.
One thought every game. Let's go to the Falcons and the Saints. The Falcons, pretty much, I don't know, they lose Penix. You would think their season's pretty much on life support here. They are a road favorite, and the Saints trying to see what Tyler Shough can bring them.
He's done. Hey, Kellen Moore's done a good job with Shough's numbers last week and how he played. It's like, wow, it's like Kellen Moore knows how to coach an offense and coach a quarterback. So got to give him credit. But the Falcons, their defense is just 119 points allowed over the past 4 weeks. The Saints haven't moved the ball very well on offense. But if I got to go, if I got to take if it's a bad offense versus a bad defense, I'll take the bad offense because defense is all about talent, and if you don't have it, an offense can move the ball. Plus, it's at home too, and again, you got Kirk Cousins. I don't know where the floor is for him, but he's looked terrible when he's been out there, and Shuck might actually be a better quarterback. I'll take the Saints.
Ooh. Woof for the Falcons there. All right, one thought every game. This game's on 97.3 ESPN. And, of course, it is the Buccaneers and the Rams. Rams 7-point favorite. Bucs have just fallen apart. They were a team that people thought maybe was one of the top 2, 3, 4 teams in the league. And here they are playing the Rams, who now people think might be one of the top 2, 3, 4 teams in the league, if not the best team in the league.
The Bucs are probably going to get Godwin back. They're probably going to get Bucky back, so that's good. But the thing is, Tampa Bay this year, they've got all that offensive talent. They're 4-0 when they allow 20 or fewer points, 2-4 when they give up 20 or more points. Matthew Stafford is playing at an MVP pace. I mean, he should be right up there. And Allen gets the 6 touchdowns. Like Matthew Stafford is playing that well. I mean, he should be one of the top 3 guys when you're talking about that. And the defense, as great as the offense is playing, the Rams' defense is playing exceptional right now. Their numbers are just fantastic and getting better every week. I'll take the Rams in this one.
Okay, Rams, that would get them to 9-2. Keep the pressure on Philadelphia with the win there. We'll get to Philadelphia in just a second, but first, Monday night, Panthers-Niners. Panthers are in the wild card mix. Niners are in the wild card mix. They're also in the division mix out there. 7-point favorite at home for the Niners. Carolina went to Green Bay and won. Can they surprise the Niners?
Won't shock me because they're a well-coached team, but when I did the metric analysis, a lot of what they're doing there is smoke and mirrors and doing certain things well. I mean, it might. And again, hey, win however you can, but they're not winning by really outplaying teams. They're finding ways to win, as they say it. But look, they're on the road. They don't have a stat hedge in any category here. They're behind in multiple categories. San Francisco's at home. They're healthier, and they're getting healthier too. You got Purdy and now, Purdy back, and you got McCaffrey. I'll definitely take San Francisco in this one.
All right, let's get back to the beginning. Eagles and Cowboys. Eagles are a 3.5-point favorite for that game against the Cowboys. Obviously, this game is the Dallas season. If they win, their season stays alive. If they lose, they're pretty much done here. Is there enough desperation in Dallas in this matchup? And you see the matchups that you think the Cowboys can keep their season going, or does Philly just always find a way to win?
Got the Eagles defense playing elite. Cowboys offense can turn any game into a scoreboard shootout. So I'm going to look at those and say, look, I nullify those factors. Either team, that's it. I'm going to nullify both of those. They're both playing exceptionally well. I'm going to just say, okay, that's a push. But you got the Eagles offense versus the Cowboys defense. Eagles have mastered the art of not turning the ball over. Dallas has 6 giveaways the past 3 games. So, and that's on offense, they give the ball away. And I just think, okay, this is not going to be a good thing for them. And if they turn the ball over at all, that's a big negative for them. So that's why, as the headline in my article says, Week 12 confidence picks, why the Eagles will beat the Cowboys. That's why I think they'll do it.
All right, he likes the Eagles on the road. By the way, Dak Prescott, we know, against NFC East teams in Dallas has just absolutely dominated during his career there. He has won 18 straight home division games against NFC East teams, and you believe that streak will end. Casey Joyner from The Athletic. Make sure you check him out all during the Thursday night football game at KC Joyner TFS and all NFL Sunday. And back here on Tuesday with One Thought, every game as we look back at week number 12. Casey, thanks, buddy.
Thanks, Mike.
There's Casey Joyner, everybody, from The Athletic here on the Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN. He likes the Eagles in the game, and we'll give our pick for the game tomorrow as we are formulating opinions based on everything. By the way, former Cowboys receiver Jesse Holley will be our outside view tomorrow. You guys remember Jesse from the Believe in Cowboys podcast. He's great, gives us great insight, and he'll be on tomorrow at 3:30. Sal Paolantonio on tomorrow's show. The bar's full again. I was looking around as Casey was talking to me. I said, where'd all these people come from? I mean, just a nice beer, man.
Nice beer after a hard day at work.
Why not? Why not?
Come on in, man.
All right, Johnny B still back behind him, or Johnny Benson over there? Is he still back there?
I don't see him, but he usually is here at this time.
All right, when we come back, Sixers-Bucks tonight. We'll give you an update on Joel, update on Paul George, and some takeaways from last night's game. That's all coming up next. Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN.
You're listening to the Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
When I'm driving, I got a guy on the radio who talks to me. I can't see him. when he talks to me.
On 97.3 ESPN. You're listening to the Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
Never thought this radio stunt would catch on so big.
On 97.3 ESPN.
5:32, getting ready to wrap things up here in about a half an hour. So you got time to come out. We're laying on Chickies and Pete, Egg Harbor Township. Go where the players go. They got the players' shows. They got the players' food. A.J. Brown's Sweet Heat, hot wings. The Garage 62, burger and a beer. What else they got going on this holiday season? It's a good spot for you to stop on out. Chickies and Pete's. Bar's full. Got to be honest. Bar's full, man. Pretty much all day. It's been steady.
It really has been. Yeah.
All right, Sixers tonight. We've talked a lot about Jalen Hurts and the Eagles and their offense today. The Sixers' offense is sometimes painful to watch. It was fun when it started, and the Sixers are 8-6. I think they're better than most people thought they would be. I don't think anybody had high expectations for this team. Joel starting the season healthy on a minutes restriction, but being able to play at the start of the season, I thought was a little bit surprising. He played in the preseason game. He looked pretty good. He played in the opening night. He did not look so good. He has sat out. He's come back. His offensive game is seemingly, not the Joel that we remember in his MVP seasons, but he has been a contributor on the offensive side of the ball. That being said, this team really is missing Joel Embiid. They got up and down, and they were fun, and everyone was like, they don't need him, that he slows them down. Well, teams are starting to adjust to them. They're taking Maxey away. They're doubling Maxey. They don't have a secondary guy right now. They don't have a secondary scorer that they can count on and they can trust on a night-to-night basis. As much as the regular season in the NBA can sometimes be a long snooze fest, these guys have pride and they play and they want to win. And teams see, hey, Justin Edwards hit 5 threes the other night. Well, guess what? They're not going to let Justin Edwards take 5 open threes again the next night. He's not a consistent player. Same with VJ Edgecombe, who's a great story. I think he's been a great, addition to this team, and I think he's going to be a great pro and a big asset. But you can't expect him to come out and score 30 every single night like he did in the opener. Team said, okay, now we see what this guy does and what he excels at. We're not going to let you do that. He's a very, very good addition to this team, but he's not a secondary scorer. Same with Quentin Grimes. He's not a secondary scorer. He's a guy that can score, but he's not a secondary scorer. The Sixers right now, Kelly Oubre, not a secondary scorer, but a guy that can score. He's out. They need Joel Embiid. And even if Joel is not the Joel Embiid that's the MVP, that's not who I'm asking for. If you watch what they do offensively, it is a mess because they don't have a guy in the dribble handoff or the pick and roll that can scare the defense. The defense does not believe that Andre Drummond is going to get a pick and roll and then shoot a foul line jumper. They just don't believe that. So both defenders go to Maxey, then he's doubled, and then he's turning the ball over. It's turned into something that teams are doing on a nightly basis now. If you have Joel out there and he's the guy that sets the screen, the defender can't leave because they can't leave Joel Embiid wide open. Paul George is going to play tonight. We'll see what he adds. He didn't, do a whole heck of a lot in his first game. He was rusty. I think Jared McCain, him playing tonight, that's a good sign. The fact that he's now going to play in back-to-back games, something he has not done. And, quite frankly, I'm not really thrilled with the way that they have used McCain. Now, he's not quite himself. I understand that. But I saw him play Saturday night in the G League, which is a complete step down. I understand. But he got up and down the floor. Last night you saw him hit a little shot. That was a Jared McCain type of shot. These are the type of games that early in the season, they're 8-6 right now, they got to pile up these wins if they want to make any sort of noise later on in the year and be a top 4 team in the playoffs. Maybe look for a trade that can add something. I don't even, quite frankly, if I was to ask anybody right now, what does this team need in a trade? I don't even know. Like, what are they lacking other than a healthy Joel Embiid?
Yeah, I mean, that's the big thing, is a healthy Joel Embiid. And you really don't know what is ailing him now. I mean, this is now going to be the 6th straight game he's missed. He hasn't played in 8 days. Who knows if he's going to play on Sunday against Miami at 1 p.m.
I just wonder.
And again, they're listing it as right knee injury management. We've heard that term before. And his left knee.
On his left knee.
So
I
don't know,
wonder
man.
if they are being overly cautious with him just because of it being Joel. Like, it's Joel, let's not push it. We're hanging in there. We're winning some games. Like, the fact that they got off to a decent start without Joel, I think allowed them to kind of just be like, hey, we can not rush him back out here because we're competitive enough without him.
And you don't know how Joel's game is going to continue to change or look different for the rest of the season. That's what my concern, I guess.
And I agree with that comment in terms of maybe he is more Joel, maybe he's more of a dominant force. I don't need him to be that guy right now. During the regular season right now, he can
shoot jumpers.
Shoot jumpers.
Yeah.
He can shoot the little elbow jumper. He can shoot that, that little baseline jumper. That's all they really need from him right now because, and we talked about this the other day with Paul Hudrick and Keith Pompey, which is, can they get the 28 to 30 points a night from Maxey?
I think so. I think you can probably count on that happening every game.
And if that's the case, okay, I can get 28 to 30 from Maxey, which means I don't need 28 to 30 from Embiid. I don't need 28 to 30 from Paul George. So can Embiid and George give me 16 to 18 apiece? So you get 16 to 18 from George, 16 to 18 from Embiid, and then you're getting your bulk scoring from Maxey. It's almost a reversal of what it used to be, right? Embiid was the guy that got you 28 to 30, and then Maxey was the guy that was getting you like 18 to 22. If it could just flip around that way, I don't need Joel Embiid to score 28. Now, can he do it on a night where Maxey just doesn't have it? Can he do it every other week? Those are the type of things that I think you have to get, and you have to try to get it consistently. That is what is very deflating and disappointing. I don't know what's wrong with Joel. I don't know why he's not playing tonight, whatever his knee problems are right now. It's sad and it's unfortunate, and I know these people are like, you got to trade him. Look, I live in a reality where you're not trading Joel Embiid. It's not, and I'm not saying the Sixers wouldn't trade him. Nobody is taking Joel Embiid.
Is someone going to take Nick Castellanos?
No.
No.
No. And people aren't – nobody wants Joel Embiid's contract. So you're stuck with him right now. So instead of constantly you got to trade him, you got to move him, you got to come to terms with the fact that he's here.
You know, it was interesting last night. I was watching the game, and I saw Bob Myers courtside with Josh Harris. And I was watching those two guys interact more so than the game itself. You know, when a guy would miss a shot, what is Bob Myers doing? When Grimes would make a shot, a crazy three, what is Myers doing? You know, Myers has Josh Harris his ear, so to speak, and, you know, you wonder the future of Daryl Morey. I mean, I know he's done a great job with the draft. Obviously, the Joel Embiid extension does not look good to this point.
No.
So you wonder, you know, what influence Bob Myers is going to have now.
No, the Embiid extension does not look good, obviously, because he just can't stay healthy. And if he's healthy and he's playing, people don't look at it like this because he's the guy making the money. But Maxey needs him. Maxey needs Embiid. Forget Embiid being an MVP-level player. Maxey prospers from Embiid. Now, I was reading an article about this, and it's basically a breakdown of the Sixers with Embiid versus the Sixers without Embiid. And it's amazing what the difference in the production of everybody, meaning Edgecombe, Maxey, everybody the trickle down effects of when Embiid plays from the Sixers. Maxey averages 34 points a game with 8.5 assists. VJ Edgecombe averages 17 points and 7 rebounds when Embiid plays. Oubre's averaging 17 points. Quentin Grimes averages 16 when Embiid does not play. You would think, okay, Embiid's not here. So what happens? Those guys get more touches, more points. That's not what's happening here. Edgecombe, when Embiid is out, 14 points a game. When Embiid is out, Oubre's numbers, they dip a little bit. When Embiid is out, Grimes' numbers go down. Why? Because now the attention is no longer on Embiid. It's on all of those guys. And everybody out there, I know the frustration with Embiid, and you're done with him, and you want to move on. But he still provides a presence in the offense that this team is lacking when he's not there. Whether he scores 35 or not, that's not what this is about.
And people like to get on Nick Nurse, right, with his rotations, and he's playing these guys too many minutes, which may be true. I mean, you don't want to play Maxey over 40 minutes a game. He's on the injury report tonight. I know he's probably going to play, but, you know, these guys, you don't want to play these guys into the ground in November. But at the same time.
No, he's playing Maxey too many minutes. I don't like
But what choice does he have, really?
Well, I'll tell you what choice he does have. He has the choice to play McCain in some of those minutes. For whatever reason, he's not comfortable enough to play McCain in some of those minutes. I don't understand why he wouldn't just say, hey, let McCain get some minutes and just to kind of get him up to speed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The other thing would be I don't like how he uses VJ Edgecombe right now as the backup point guard.
As the point guard, yeah.
That is obviously not working, right?
They had 20 turnovers last night, and I know Edgecombe had a bunch of them himself.
I don't like the pick and roll stuff with Drummond in the game. That's something that just doesn't work, and they did it over and over last night. Okay, it's not working. My buddy was texting me this, and I agree with him, and he's ready to fire Nick Nurse. To which, listen, everybody, like Brett Brown sucked, Doc Rivers sucked, Nick Nurse sucks. By the way, Nick Nurse won an NBA championship. So I know everybody thinks the coach always sucks, but every time you fire a coach, it's only to complain about the next one. Because these guys, we act like they have like a magic button that everything – when you have guys in and out of the lineup all the time and Nick Nurse just never knows who's going to play, I mean, I'm sure he's – okay, who's playing tonight? Oh, well, you don't have George. It sucks. It really does. It's tough. So Sixers and the Bucks tonight. You can listen to the game on 97.3 ESPN. The coverage starts at 8 o'clock with Tom McGinnis. Bucks are kind of beaten up. These are two teams kind of stuck in the middle of the Eastern Conference, and we'll have that game for you coming up. You going Flyers tonight? You going Sixers tonight? Or you
three
going
games on. I got to choose
Thursday night football.
You know, I like to go Flyers. You know, it's a game against the Blues tonight, so that game's going to come on first.
7 o'clock.
Yeah, that's going to get my attention. Then we'll do the Sixers for a little bit. Then we'll go NFL. But I'm going to be floating around. I mean, all night. Yeah. Just floating around.
Yeah, I'm going I'll go Flyers, intermission, Sixers, full game.
Full game.
Flipping back. Yeah, once I'm into the Sixers, you got me the full game.
Now, during a commercial, that's when you go football?
It's hard because it's on Prime.
That's true.
It's hard to do that flip.
You got to commit.
A.J. Brown was asked about some of the comments about Jalen Hurts. He responded today with a very Bill Belichick type of answer. You'll hear it coming up next. All right, we're getting ready to get out of here at Chickies and Pizza, Egg Harbor Township. Good crowd today. Thanks to everybody who stopped by, said hello, and, hey, hang out here where the players hang out at Chickies and Pizza EHT. Before we get out of here, so AJ's at his locker, right? They ask him pretty much like, hey, what do you think about all the stuff that's going on? What do you have to say? And he says, ask me about Dallas.
That's Bill Belichickian.
Moving on to Dallas now, it sounds like. A.J. Brown was asked about reports that players are frustrated with Jalen Hurts, and he's got the big A.J. smile on his face. Says,
That's
nope.
a very charming smile.
Nope.
It is, man.
Ask me about Dallas, he said. He does not want to answer that question. When asked about how he physically feels, he says, I am fine. Nothing is wrong with me, guys. People said, how does it feel that when he tries to keep track of what other receivers do around the league, he says, gets me upset. So, A.J. Brown, we'll play some of this audio on tomorrow's show. What was the other one you just saw?
He said, on speculation, he isn't the same player this season. A.J. responded with, quote, I guess Saquon ain't the same player either then.
Ooh. Now, does Saquon say, keep my name out your mouth?
Right. I mean, are you bringing Saquon into your drama, or is it everybody's drama because the offense is struggling? Is it sarcasm?
Here, I don't know. All right.
Now, again, he's clearly frustrated that the offense is an AJ problem, or is everyone underperforming and they're not held to the same standard? Maybe there's a little bit of that, too.
I talked about this before, about A.J. just flashing that smile and trying to make everything all right. He says, I guess Saquon ain't the same player either. When asked about speculation, he isn't the same player this season. There you go. All right,
is there different standards with A.J. and Saquon? Is that what he's alluding to?
I said this the other day. I wonder how much jealousy there is about Saquon being in every single commercial. Right?
I do see that Cure Auto Insurance commercial all the time, man.
I see that one. He's in a DoorDash commercial. I feel like he's in every commercial that's out. He's like the new Jason Kelsey. He's just everywhere. All right. Get about ready to get out of here tonight. Sixers tonight on 97.3 ESPN. If you're looking for the Thursday night football game, flip over to our sister station, Rock 104.1. And you can listen on the Rock 104.1 free mobile app. We're back tomorrow on a happy hour Friday. Have a great rest of your night, everybody.